hear myself through my headphones. Yes, man. Like, I feel real good about this right now.
Pay attention, because you are now listening to Permission to Speak Freely.
Let's start the year off decently. Today's guest is someone whose career didn't just make history, it reshaped it. She came up through aviation maintenance, AZ by rate, did time in recruit training, stood in the RDC arena, then went on to be a command master chief on a destroyer and on an aircraft carrier, not just any carrier, the Carl Vinson, right? First Black woman to do that. She was also the first African-American woman command master chief at Recruit Training Command. Later, the first woman and first Black Force Master Chief for Naval Education and Training Command. A lot of air horns. And then finished her Navy career as the Fleet Master Chief for Manpower Personnel Training and Education, advising 3- and 4-star admirals on decisions that affected hundreds of thousands of sailors. But what makes this conversation important isn't just the history, it's the perspective. She's seen how leaders are made, how systems help or hurt, and what really happens when policy meets people. She's still leading the day, just in a different uniform. Working enterprise level in a private sector, shaping leadership beyond the Navy. Fleet Master Chief, retired April Beldo-Lilley. Welcome to Permission to Speak Freely.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. And that long introduction, it even put more years on me. I don't know why y'all be acting like y'all have to say everything.
We gotta give you flowers.
We have to. I was going through the Rolodex and I'm like, I can't. Like the LinkedIn, I'm like, all right, I can't. Let's sum this up. That's the summary.
That's a summary. That is most definitely a summary.
You made history
Thank
3
you.
times over, and super humble about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you ever like sit down for a second and think that, hey, your name, you got a household name, right? Everyone knows you. If I can go at almost any arena, anywhere, say your name, and they know you. Somebody knows you, right? How did that feel?
Well, you said it. I think it's Damo who said it. It's very humbling. It is so humbling. And it's almost to the point where I feel a little embarrassed. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Because that was not the journey I set out for. I said that was not my intent. I just tried to do the right thing by the sailors that I led and those who I served with and those who I worked for. And before you knew it, 34 years later, you all were talking about this Fleet Master Chief. So,
yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
And we talk about like on here a lot. We talk about like leadership and like how like things sprout from leadership and how people all connect, right? So one of the things I wanted to do first was get into connections a little bit, right? So I went to boot camp in March of 2007, Great Lakes. So you know who my CMC was? It was
Don't tell me.
It was you. You were the boot camp CMC when I went through boot camp.
Yeah.
So that's a
and you wouldn't believe how many times I hear that, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like, shh.
Wait.
I remember when you were. Like, oh Lord.
All right, April, let me tell you my connection with you. Right.
Okay.
I came in the Navy in 1998 of June.
Wow.
You were my RDC.
Shut up.
Yes. and I also, you know what's really crazy about it, you're gonna remember this now, is that the 2 other RDCs that was with you, you had 2 first classes. One was a SCG-1 and one was, I think, a PH. I think there was a photograph. I think he was a PH at the time. Hispanic guy.
High seaman.
I see. Okay.
He was an IC man. And I know exactly what you're talking about. Bing.
Yeah.
He was Bing. And yep. Oh my gosh. Don't tell nobody about those days. I'm telling you, one of the things that I enjoyed about being the RDC was, especially of a male division, they weren't going to tell him, you could do anything. to those male recruits as a female RDC. They ain't gonna tell nobody. They are not gonna tell nobody. There's some stuff that I probably could have got fired. Don't tell nobody that I said that. But yeah, I because they used to get on my nerves. I'd be like, "I'll cut you." I would tell them crazy stuff.
They always fear the female RDCs more. Always.
Yeah. But Dan, oh my God, that is amazing. Division, what was division?
273.
273. Oh my gosh. I remember.
Yeah.
I remember. Oh my gosh. Oh, now that is really crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
So
wow.
all of us served under you at some point.
Yeah. And Aaron, bless his little heart. Oh, you know.
Yeah. Carl Vinson.
Yeah.
2000. I was there from 09 to 13. I think you got there 2010.
Right. It was 9, 10. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if you were there for the Carrier Classic and heat relief and everything.
Yep. I took it. We came from Virginia and went around back to San Diego. That I just
stopped in Brazil.
Yep. Haiti.
Yeah.
So yeah. And I want to say, tell me your rate though.
OS.
Okay.
Yeah. So he ain't really.
Yeah. Your favorite department division.
Well, look. I was just getting ready to say, be walking down the hallway during cleaning stations. They're like ghosts. I'm like, if y'all don't get y'all stuff out of that daggone combat, get out of combat.
They like, what?
My chief, Simon will Shumpert. So you got CMC talking to me again? I'm like, what did I do? Like, y'all get out there. She gonna call me. You know she gonna call me. I was like,
Yep, I remember him well. Wow. What a connection. That is a connection.
Yeah, all of us.
And you all have to forgive me because I tell people there's one of me. And that's why you all remember me, because I'm just one. You're right. But I tell you what, seeing each and every one of you, whether I remember you or not, but once you tell me, you know, the story behind the connection, it is truly, you know, I'm just telling you, it's humbling. It's a privilege. And, yeah, we'll get into that, I'm sure, as we talk. But this journey of treating people the way you want to be treated and doing right by people, even when they don't see it's the right thing, or even when they don't like you, or even when, you know, that was always my thing with you guys. I don't care if you never say I'm your friend or you like me. It's not about that. It's about me making sure that when you looked at me or when you saw me, you knew I was about the business, and I was consistent. This is who I am. This is how I'm going to be. It don't matter where you see me, when you see me, how long it's been since you've seen me. Yeah, it's always going to be, that was Matthew Beldo, period.
All right, let's go back to a day. Let's get started. We're going to go back to a day. I gotta paint the picture a little bit. It's 50 degrees, probably 49, 50 degrees, right? It's a Wednesday, right? January 18th, 2017, 1100, Fort Myer Memorial Chapel, right? How you feeling? What are you thinking about? And what does this moment mean to you?
Wow. And I know exactly what you're talking about. That was my 53rd birthday. I want to say that. I made sure that I retired on my birthday in January. But what I was feeling was basically, this is it. I have done everything that the United States Navy asked me to do, and I did it pretty damn well. And I had zero regrets. Zero regrets. You know what I mean? I didn't even cry. You know, I cried one time because the Navy band sang a song, and it did make me cry. One of the soloists, he sang a song. But after that, I gave my speech. There wasn't no tears. I didn't need a bunch of Kleenex and all that stuff. Deuces.
Yeah.
You guys asked me to do something since May the 10th. That's when I went into depth of 1983. I left for boot camp on May the 15th. And from that day, and I had some bumps in the road, and I had some struggles, and I had some challenges, and I had some, you know, had to go see the man, you know, all those things. But at the end of the day, on January 18th, 2017, zero regrets.
Did you have like, I'm just thinking like, I'm thinking about my marriage, right? So I'm thinking about like being in a limo. I got about friends on each side of me. Like, were you, who was with you? Who you had with you? Mom with you?
Oh yeah. I had friends from high school there that we are still close. We graduated in 1982. Mm-hmm. They made the trip. Of course, I had my family from my dad's side, New York, from my mom's side, New Jersey, Georgia, Atlanta. So I did have family, my brothers. Mm-hmm. My one brother came. My dad and my mom were there. Family from church family was there. Yeah. Who came to my retirement, who I did not think was going to come, but I invited her because she was just in DC a couple of weeks or months before. Miss Ima Black. Miss Ima Black. Yeah. Wow. I invited Miss Ima Black to my retirement. First of all, out of respect. Mm-hmm. And when Mick Pond Stevens took over, she called me over. We did his ceremony and everything. We were at the reception, and she called me over there, and she wanted to talk to me. And she made some comments to me that I will keep, close hold. But ever since then, I had reached out anytime I went to Florida. I would drive and go see her. So it was my military family. It was my blood family. It was friends. It was those that had taken the journey with me throughout my career that I wanted to include. And then, of course, the mess. The mess was there. Yeah. But it was no fanfare. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have no limousine.
Yeah,
I was still humble.
And I think about my marriage. But
I got it.
Let's go back. Before we go all the way back to, I hate when I say all the way. It's always like all the way, make people. But before we go back to January 18th, 64, right? That matters. You brought up your high school friends, right? So I wanted to ask you, and this is Desert High School, right? Class of 82. That was on Edwards Air Force Base. I wanted to ask you if the significance to you of the number 12.
In high school, I played basketball.
Yep. Okay.
I played basketball. Yeah. I was a little, I tried to be an athlete for a minute or two.
Yeah.
So 12 was my basketball number.
Yeah. Yep. 12 was your basketball number.
Yeah, it was my basketball number. And Mr. Love was one of he was like, he coached for a little while, but he was like the trainer. And, during high school, mom and dad, they divorced or they separated,
Yeah.
And so mom was working and, dad was doing his thing, working also. And we lived about 25 miles from the high school because we lived out in town, but we went on base, to school. So Mr. Love, he would come pick me up when I needed a ride, or we stayed late for games or practice or whatever. And he made sure that I got home safe. But he would call me number 12. Number 12. It was all about number 12. I was pretty good. Pretty good then.
So I got two questions. Do you still? No, not do you still. How long did you carry on hoops, right? Or do you still hoop? And then what leadership lessons did you learn from basketball?
Okay, great question. So what I will share with you is, and you all probably already know this, I am a big advocate about presence and being, say what you mean and mean what you say, those things, to be an example and all those things. So I do not play basketball anymore, but I will share with you my first tour at RTC, 98 to 2001. We go over to, this is back before it got rebuilt and everything. We'd have to go over to drill hall. It's through the tunnel. I don't know where it was. 800. It was drill hall 800, right? Isn't that where we the PT and outside and everything? Oh yeah. And we would do RDC school PT because I I was the LCPO of RDC school. And yes, I would be out there with the students and the staff. I would play a little hoop with them. I would play some basketball with them. I would get out there. Yeah. And then after I left in 2001, I had to hang all that stuff up because, the body starts talking to you. You know how it is. RTC ain't no joke. RTC is not a joke.
Cisco PT will get you.
I was going to say, and remember I did it two times. And I was not going to let, first of all, my recruits, of course, look, Damon will tell you I'd come in there at 4 o'clock in the morning. That's when we used to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. We were at 4 o'clock in the morning. Old school.
Yeah. They don't know nothing about that, April. They don't know nothing about that.
I think we was like 6 hours.
I come in there at 4 o'clock in the morning, and we used to have the speakers on, and we push back the racks. And I be doing some workout for them young men, and they be crying too. I was gonna hang with them, but that was
So
that was back in the day.
I was like the baby kid then. You know how like the older kid, because you came back to Great Lakes when I went through. So, So we woke up a little bit later. So you know how the older kid had it the worst, and then you learn from that and you do better. I'm gonna name a few names. One, you tell me if they ring a bell. If they ring a bell, and then what comes to your mind when you think of these names if they do ring a bell? Lisa Carter. Marvin Clark, Francine Crockett, Esther Belton. Do any of those names ring a bell?
Every single one of them. We were all Air Force brats, and we all went to Desert High School. Some of us went before Desert High School. It was Forbes Junior High. Before that, it was Branch Middle School. So we all grew up. Our dads, all of our fathers were in the Air Force station at Edwards Air Force Base or some affiliation thereof, and we all knew each other from playing sports or going to school together, and every single one of them ring a bell. Lost touch with some of them over the years, but every single one of them. Those were my and the funny thing is, back in those days, so you figure that was from like 79 to 82 or a little bit before that. And I remember I used to fight with them. We would fall out. Why are you liking my boyfriend now? That's all this craziness. But then the next day, we were like nothing had ever happened, and we were sitting at the table eating again and just enjoying self. And the only reason why I bring that up, and I know you're going to ask me as this, as we continue to chat, but it ain't like that today. It is not like that today. And you sort of gave me a little bit of a preview. But when we talk about do better, remind me to bring this up when we talk about do better, because my circle is very small.
Yeah.
It is. I have a big circle that I share. Those are my associates, but the more you know about me, the more I share with, the more I hang out with, that circle gets smaller and smaller, So, but every single one of those, I could probably call in the day and we could pick up like we had just seen each other a week ago. That was real. That's real love. That was real friendship.
Yeah, I had a good year. 82 was a good year. Scorpions won a championship that year.
Yes.
82 was a good year.
Yes.
Yeah, 82 was a good year for me too, man.
Don't say when you were. I knew you'd say that.
I
reached to the phone.
Oh man.
Hey, April, you mentioned your dad earlier. Your dad was in the Air Force, right?
Yes.
How long did he do in the Air Force?
He did 20 years. He did 20 years. He retired out of Edwards Air Force Base, and that's why I continued to go to school there after he retired. We lost him a couple of years ago. He passed away a couple of years ago. Yeah. But he definitely laid that strong foundation of do what you say. I mean, do what you say. And say, if you're going to say something, you do it. If you're going to tell somebody something, if you're going to be somewhere, that's where I got this leadership thing from. You talked about leadership earlier, Damo. That's it. My dad, he was like, he didn't play. He did not play. He was one of the ones like, I think it was Aaron, you said it earlier. That look, I got that from Mr. Beldo. You just got to look at me when I was growing up and I knew something was wrong and I better get it together.
Hey, like, what do you remember most watching him navigate because we know you wanted to do Air Force, right? And we're going to get in that in a minute. But what do you remember most watching him navigate his career?
The pride, I think, the pride that he took in being an airman, because he was in the Air Force, his work ethic, and just, again, being there for your airmen, so being there for your sailors, being there for your people, and being an example.
Yeah. April, you kind of mentioned this a little bit, but also something that you had said about your dad was like, whatever you do it to the best of your ability, right? Yeah. That's kind of what he instilled in you. What did that mean to you now?
Yeah. Well, and I think Damo said it earlier. I was going into the Air Force. That was my plan, to go into the Air Force. And when I told him I was going into the military, I remember he was working at NASA, and I went to go have lunch with him, and I said, this Lancaster thing is getting on my nerves. I need to do something. I'm going to go into the Air Force. And his thing was, if you're going to do it, you better stick with it. That's all I ask. If this is something you want to do, I'll support you 100%. But stick with it. This is no games. You know what I'm saying? David, if you remember now, and I'm sharing now, but one of the things, and he'll tell you guys, the babies of the bunch, Damon, he'll tell you this. P3 day, when we were in that drill hall, it was 1,200 then. It was a Quonset hut, basically a bigger drill hall. But with all those recruits, one of the things that I shared with them, nope, not you, Damon, I'm sorry. Fast forward. Damo. 2007. Captain Andrews. And myself, remember, drill hall? And this is what I said. If anybody in this drill hall, P3 day, if anybody in this drill hall, if the cops came to your house, pulled a 9mm out and held it to your head, and told you that you will join the Navy, threw you in that vehicle and drove you to the recruiting station and made you sign that piece of paper with a gun held to your head, you need to come see me on this drill deck right now. And I would pause. Because the point I was trying to make was that didn't happen to anybody up in here.
Yeah, nope.
You all made a decision to do this. So I don't want to hear in 2 weeks and 3 weeks and 5 weeks, I don't want to do this no more because it's a contract. So that's where I got that from with my dad.
Yeah.
If you're going to do this, do it. But ain't nobody making you do this. You want to do this. You said you do this. So if you're going to do it, you need to stick it out, however long that was. And it was only 4 years for me, right? Yeah.
Question I had with your being a military brat, right? I have 3 children, two are adults, right? I have 11-year-old, my youngest. Adamo has his daughter. Damon has his kids, one of whom is serving. My question, those talks with your father, do you feel he was speaking to you as dad, speaking to you as a senior enlisted military man, or was it like somewhere in the middle? Did he give you everything as dad, or did he kind of bring some of that military dad kind of talk? Was it different? How was that growing up?
In my mind, it was all dad. It was all dad, to me, because he had since retired, and I waited some time before I joined. But I remember him being in the military really well. I mean, definitely, I remember it well. But I think it was all dad. He came to me as daddy. I was the youngest of, 2 boys at first, and I was a baby girl. And so,
So you're the favorite?
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right, so question. 64, right? I'm going to just say 64. I'm not going to say I'm saying it right. But did being alive so close to the passing of Dr. King have any impact on the way you were brought up, whether it be from dad, from mom, or just from the world around?
I think it did. I really think it did, because when I grew up, my grandmother was still alive, right? And she worked for, she worked in that era where she worked for, as a housekeeper or cleaner and, for white men and women. And so I think just hearing her talk and my aunts, and my mother was the youngest also of 6 children. So her brothers and sisters were older also. And just, they experienced some of the challenges of segregation, of discrimination, all the above. And definitely my grandmother did. And so I think growing up and being around her, and then of course, you throw in some church. Yes, I was brought up in the church. And that was a foundation for me, and the way that I carried myself and the way that people aren't going to like you. They don't have to like you. And so what if they don't like you? Do not put stake in whether they like you or not. If you want to do something, if you say you're going to do something, don't let anybody else tell you what you can't do because X, Y, Z, or what you're not going to do because X, Y, Z. Even though, unfortunately, I had to deal with that almost 30 years in the military, right?
Yeah.
Ironic, but I'm grateful for that foundation because I did not need a lot of reassurance from individuals sitting on my left and right.
Yeah. And you bring up church, and I know you a music kind of. I would say for music, is it like a funky disco type of sound that you like?
No, I'm really old school R&B.
Okay.
And jazz. Yeah, I like that old. October is the best thing that came out this. In 24, right? I can't believe Snoop Dogg introduced him, but that Marvin Gaye, I can listen to that
he tough.
all day long.
Yeah, he got the Marvin Gaye sound. Okay.
Yeah.
It was because it was a club back in Lancaster County called the Smoke Eye. I was wondering if you ever heard of it back in the day.
I'm feeling some kind of way that you are just all up in my business when I
the research on the show goes deep, so just be advised.
I love it. But of course,
okay.
Yeah, that was our one little club in Lancaster. Except for, I will say this, as I got, graduating, my 11th and 12th grade years, we used to have a club on the base that the airmen went to, and we could hang out in there. If our parents were there, they would let us come in there and dance and hang out, DJ and stuff. But yeah.
Y'all had an MWR at high school, so you wasn't really a stranger to MWR either. I got a question for you. I got a question for you. In the Navy, you had a lot of firsts, right? Did you have any firsts before the Navy? If so, what was your first?
I'm thinking, let's go to high school. I don't think so. I don't think so in regards to, again, growing up in this military type DOD school structure environment, this melting pot. We were just all just trying to get through high school, And then when I graduated from high school and, like I said, enrolled in college, I didn't go. I wasn't at college long enough to figure out whether I did first or not. It wasn't. I was not a good student in college. I was. See, I didn't get right. That's why I had to go into the military. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm all over the place. No structure, no discipline, just hanging out, getting ready to get in trouble. Yeah. So probably no first.
So you joined the military, and to my knowledge, I could be wrong here, but it just wasn't any quotas left for women in the Air Force when you tried to join?
Yes, that's exactly what happened. And I wanted to leave immediately. It was one of those things where, I was just, how you're fed up, you're just tired. I'm sick of my surroundings. I'm sick of this environment. I'm sick of that knucklehead that broke up with me. I just need a new everything. Oh yeah. High school, high school sweetheart. He really wasn't, but I thought he was. Yeah, I just need something new. So I'm heading to the Air Force, and I was ready. I walked up in there, and I gave him my speech, and he was like, I'm sorry, darling. Yeah, we already have our quotas for females in the Air Force. Yeah.
So Dad didn't give you any grief for being Navy?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. No. He did. He never did. Again, he was very supportive. If you're going to do it, just do it right and do it well. And I left I didn't even get out the door of the recruiting station. I couldn't even get to the door. You know, they're just like they are now. All of them are there in this one door. And I left the doggone Air Force recruiting office, and right next door inside, you know, the bigger office was the Navy guy. I'll never forget his name. PN, because they were PNs then. PN1 Mayo. And he saw me walking out the door, and he got my attention. And he said, you ever thought about joining the Navy? And I said, when can I leave? And he said, I can get you out of here in 10 days. And I was like, where's the paperwork? 10 days. He was ready for me to sign. And I was like, okay, time out. I didn't even tell my mom that I was here. So let me go home and make sure that she's good with it. I was leaving though. I just need to tell her. Yeah, 10 days later, I was out.
Damn.
And that's how I didn't care what I was doing. And this is what I tell young people, sailors, you know, you can be a non-designated airman. Okay. You can leave in 10 days. Okay. You know, all these okays. I just wanted to go.
Yeah.
And I left. So when I got to boot camp, and my life was quickly flashing before me every single day. And I'm thinking, what in the was I thinking? But I never said that out loud, because guess what? I made that decision. That's why I tell them now, you look in the mirror. Who told you to sign that contract? Nobody but you. So who can you blame? Nobody but you. So suck it up, wipe your little tears from your eyes, and get your butt back out there. And it sucked every single day. I hated it every day. Every day. All 12 weeks of it. Oh my God. I hated it every day.
Was it a lot of women when you went through boot camp? Was it a lot of women with you?
Well, the only place women could go was in Orlando back in the day, Orlando, Florida. That was the only place women went. So my company was all, and it was a company then, all females. Okay. Yeah. And there was no integration. There was none of that. Yeah, none of that. So as far as I was concerned, there was a lot of them, because they were all sleeping around me, snoring and all. I'm like, oh my God. What in the world?
No drama, no fights in the middle of the night?
No, you know what? No, not really. You know, there was, there was people that were crying, you know, shut up, go to sleep.
Yeah, it's always
quiet and stuff like that. Or, you know, and the ones where you better run so we don't have to do this again, or hurry up, you know, same thing. Yeah. But besides that,
we got to tighten it up.
Let me tell you, and I'm telling you, there's some rough ones too. I mean, there's always been rough ones, right? I was like, oh, I'm scared of you. I leave you alone.
Hey, let's talk about, you know, you in for a little bit. You were aviation airman, first duty station. How in the heck you get that first duty station? That had to be crazy.
So earlier, you remember me saying, I just want to get out of this environment. I'm just going to wait from this place. It's getting on my nerves, yada, yada, yada. As soon as I was able to pick where I wanted to go, you know, they pretend like you could pick them. Where would you like to go? I put California. Even though I remember I wanted to leave California. And they said, oh, you want to go to the West Coast? We're going to send you to the West Coast. We send you all the way to the PI. That is the West Coast, right? So, yeah, it was, talk about traumatic. It was a very traumatic experience for an 18-year-old who thought that she knew everything.
Wow.
And landed in Clark Air Force Base in the Philippines and got on the jeepney. It was a bus. And I don't know, I think it was a jeepney. Open windows and driving through the jungle. It really was a jungle. And again, I was like, what in the world have I done? But yeah, it was crazy. But I tell you what, that first duty station, it set the tone for me. It really, really did. Because number one, I was only there for 18 months. And I had to grow up very, very quickly. And that's where I learned that sailors love to party.
Mm-hmm.
And it don't matter how much a sailor parties, come reveille, and getting up and standing at quarters tomorrow morning. We were all, we might have been wavering and moved, but we were there. Ain't nobody
they're not built that same nowadays.
What? And I mean, I lived out in town. And I still made sure I got in that taxi, I got through that gate, and I was in that hangar bay when it was time to go to work. And everybody in maintenance control, you'll appreciate this. Everybody in maintenance control. It was like, if we light a match in here, we're blowing this place up. We were there, but we were there. That was in the 80s. Now, early 80s, it was different. Pilots, everybody just
functioning alcoholics. Okay.
It's embarrassing. That's exactly what it was, Aaron. Exactly. I remember my maintenance control chief, Master Chief. I need you to get in my cart and drive over to the exchange and get me some Alka-Seltzer. Oh, yeah. Everybody. You guys ever been in PI?
Yes.
Not me.
When were you there, Aaron?
No, it's a port visit, and I still saw it. I wasn't stationed there. No.
Oh, okay. But no. Yeah, Sam's. You guys remember Sam's? You guys don't remember Sam's? It was the soul food place that they had out in town. It was called Sam's.
I didn't get Sam's. No.
Oh, yeah. Well, back in the day. But he was my maintenance master chief. And a lot of those, back in the day, they got businesses over there and they stayed. I was trying to get the heck out of there. As a matter of fact, they had to fly me out of there fast because, yeah.
So you undesignated airman, right? You're over there, first duty station.
Mm-hmm.
That first group, did that influence you to strike AZ, or what was the motivation between you to go AZ? I remember Courtney talked about her story about what made her be an AZ, right? But what was your story as far as going from undesignated airman to striking AZ?
Yeah, you guys are asking me all my secrets. Now, remember, I haven't always been a fleet master chief, okay? I was an undesignated airman. I was a plane captain. Well, you get to the squadron, right? You're a young airman. You're going to learn how to, park these planes. So I was a plane captain. And it was monsoon season. And planes still got to be moved during monsoon season. It was raining. It was not really cold because it didn't get cold there, but it was muggy, hot. And I looked at them folks sitting in maintenance control in the air conditioning, and I was like, I need that job because this right here is not working for me. And it was the elements, it was Mother Nature in the Philippines that decided that April needed to be an AZ.
So you leave.
That's how I struck OS. It was the Gulf. It was hot. And I'm like, why is this person wearing a jacket? We in a Gulf. Oh, they work in combat. I'm like, I'm doing that. Let me get out this pump room, this flight deck. I'm gonna do that.
Yeah. So you leave Lancaster, right? This industrial kind of city. You go to Orlando for a little bit, for boot camp. Mm-hmm. Then you go to the Philippines for a little bit. Mm-hmm. Then you go to Mississippi.
Yeah.
And that's like another
universe. Another universe.
So how was Mississippi for you? That's where David from.
Yeah, especially in the 80s.
Mississippi was bad.
Well, I tell you what, I was only there for A school. Mm-hmm. So I did this return quota. What I was trying to do was leave the PI early. So I thought to myself, surely they're not going to send me to A school in Mississippi and bring me back to the Philippines. So, that's what I get for trying to be smarter than Navy, because that's exactly what they did. I was only there for 6 weeks, and a half weeks, just for A school, AZA school. But, again, West Coast, military brat, DOD schools. Yeah. Meridian, Mississippi, that's real South. That's like, don't go nowhere by yourself, South. That's be in the house before it's dark, South, in the early 80s. Yeah. And that's what we did. We didn't play. I was like, can I graduate early? That's how fast I went.
Got to get up out of there.
Yeah. But I still love it because of A school. I've been back here a couple of times since.
At some point early in your career, Tailhook happened, right? And I know it impacted you because I heard you speak on it before, right? One of the things I wanted to know from you was coming off of Tailhook, how did that impact the future of the Navy as you saw it?
Okay. Here's what I will say about Tailhook. In my experience during that time of Tailhook was, I would say, a pilot thing. Can I say that? And everybody knows what I mean by that. So when I'm talking wardroom thing, that's what I mean. That was a wardroom event. Tailhook was a wardroom event because it was pilots and officers, and not that it was right or right, but I'm just saying that's the group that really had challenges. You know what I'm saying with regards to the Tailhook scandal. That's exactly what it was. But I witnessed that, and I witnessed the female pilots, probably not getting treated the same or being treated in a way that was disrespectful, because that's what it was about disrespecting your shipmate at the end of the day. So I witnessed that. And I do believe, though, what that did do for some of our enlisted sailors is they had this idea that they could also be disrespectful to their shipmate, right? Okay, so there's the part that I witnessed, is that these cool people are being disrespectful to their fellow female pilots. That is not cool. That is not okay. And so, and I think before this busted wide open, it's all fun and games until somebody really gets hurt. There's where I'll say it like that. Some people thought it's all fun and games, but I grew up in an era in the 80s where fraternization came up during that time. Before, my fellow AZs, I'll just use that. Remember, we're mains control, right? And we have access to everybody in the squadron. And I mean pilots when I say that, right? So, and these pilots are young. My first squadron was a RAG outfit, right? Training outfit, E2s, right? So, they're out of college going into, pilot school, and some of my shipmates were out of college, female shipmates going into the military, right? So they're the same age, right? So of course they're attracted to each other, but that's exactly what came out of it was fraternization policy. There was no fraternization policy when I first came in, or if there was, it was not enforced. Or it was not enforced, or it wasn't a big, I won't say a big deal, but it wasn't this thing. Because if you remember when I said I was in the Philippines, people went out, hung out all night, partied all night together, and they came to work and they went to work and were professional together. And then something happened. I don't know what happened, but then something happened, and we came out with this fraternization policy. And again, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but that is one of the things that happened. I saw that, where, you can't date anybody outside your peer group. That's a good way to say it, your peer group, right? But So that's one thing that I saw.
So in this time, are you like downloading things like, because you changed a lot, right? As a fleet, a lot of impact. We're gonna get into that in a minute too. But before this, right? Because it's kind of like a two-part question. In this time, are you like downloading, taking notes, like, hey, I'm gonna change this. I'm gonna do something different about this. I'm gonna do something different about this. Or has like a career in the Navy not even clicked yet for you?
A career in the Navy hasn't clicked yet for me because at this point I'm only like in E4, E5. Right. And I'm not staying. I'm on my second, I'm Am I my second? I'm probably just finishing my first 4 years and getting re-enlist my second tour. So remember I was only in the Philippines for 19 months. And then I went to San Diego for the next, 2.5 years before I had to re-enlist. And this happened during that time because I was stationed in Miramar, right down the street from Top Gun, across the street from, the first Top Gun. And so no, I'm not taking no notes. Who's thinking of stuff like that? Because I'm still having a good time. I'm still thinking like life is, I'm an E4, I'm living on my own place out in town. I'm still acting like, I'm a sailor.
So when did it click?
I think the leadership thing clicked for me was, let me see. I get stationed. I leave Miramar the first time and I get stationed in Brunswick, Maine. I'm in Brunswick, Maine. Oh, that was another place they weren't ready for us either.
Pre-com? Yeah, I did a pre-com up there too. Hey,
yeah, I was like, what?
They wasn't ready in 2015.
Well, when I say they weren't ready, we were different. I mean, they're smoking, they're in the cabins and the log cabins and you're in the woods getting your Christmas tree and cutting it down. So we just look different. I look different. I'm thinking to myself, I took all the detail. He said, oh, you can go to Brunswick, Maine. I said, sure, I'll go to Brunswick, Maine, and hung up the phone. I had to go get out my doggone map and go, where the heck is Maine? And when I saw where it was, I was like, oh, what was I thinking? Ain't nobody going to live in Maine that looks like us. Nope. I'm just saying, so in 88, I think I was 88. So I'm there for at a VP squadron. And 3 years or whatever the case may be. And then I come back to San Diego and I had a chief, an AZC. His name was Williams, AZC Williams. I didn't know about I didn't really know about being an AZ. I just knew how to be an AZ. You know what I'm saying? AZ is a big rate and there's a lot of stuff doing. And I had never worked in some areas. There's a lot of different things you can do. And I never worked in logs and records. And everybody was telling me in order to make chief, you have to work in logs and records. So they, even back then didn't know this was a mentor. But see, this is where I say that, we'll talk about this later too, is, you treat people with dignity and respect and you just do what you're supposed to do. And people just sort of draw to you. They just draw to you. They just, oh, okay, work hard, do what you're told, you to work on time, wear a uniform squared away. They just draw to you. So anyway, they gave me this AZC's information, and he was also in Miramar. And I was in North Island, though. And they asked me to look him up, and we're still friends today now. He went LDO, he's Lieutenant Commander, retired also. But he probably gave me my first push because he shared with me, oh, you're going to HS6. There's this AZ1 already there, and she's doing this and she's doing that, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay. Well, just, tell me what I have to do. And he sort of like mentored me. That's what he did. And I got to the squadron and see God works in mysterious ways. She was so glad to see me because this is when we were first allowed on the aircraft carriers, right? And, there's something to say about being able to balance professional and personal life. And she was still learning how to do that because now we're in this sea command because we're going to sea. You guys are going to sea, right? That's why you're at this command. So this was the first time. This is back in 94-ish. And she saw me coming through that door and she wanted to give me here, you could be the LPO, you could be this, you could be that, you can have it all.
I've been through that before.
She gave it, I was like, okay.
I've been through that.
Okay. She just handed it over to me,
Yeah.
And I gladly
accepted it.
I accepted it, exactly. And then so, and as a first class, you don't know this, but the chiefs were watching what was going on, right? So the chiefs know that we have this new first class who's going to go work in, I don't know, She's going to go work in QA and do CTPL or something like that. And they're watching this other first class give up all her responsibility as the LPO. And then they watch how I react to that, right?
Yeah.
And I'm telling you guys, that dad thing kicks in, right?
Yep.
What am I supposed to do? Tell me what you want me to do. Tell me what you want us to do. And I'm going to carry out the orders of the day. Aye, sir. Now, how I did that, and I'm telling you guys, I've always been the same way. We all know the rules. We all know what we're supposed to do. You know, y'all got to work overtime sometimes. Y'all got to stay on duty, all these things. Yeah. So that's when it started like, okay, I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. And then I made chief in 95. Yeah, in 95 I made chief. And then that's when it became really, that's when it was real to me. You know, and so, and what I mean by that is, okay, we're in 95. I'm underway on the USS Abraham Lincoln. Initiation is 12 weeks long. We found out in July, the beginning of July, and we did not get pinned until September the 16th.
Damn, 12 weeks? And it was different.
And it was different. We were drinking balut.
Different with quotation marks or just different?
Yeah. Balut, serum. It was. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I learned a lot from that. You know, I learned how not to be this certain leader. I learned how not to really care how people thought about me or what people said about me. Because they said some really ugly stuff back then, right? You know? And then, you know, and I was able to have a conversation with those maintenance chiefs, you know, you want it done or do you want it done? And if you're going to tell me to do something, as long as I'm aligned with, you know, SOP and rules and regs, leave me alone and let me do it. And the first time little Sally or little Billy come crying, talking about what Chief did to you, you don't get to question me. You know, that's where my foundation, that's when it all came about. That I think it was 1995 when I put on khakis and I decided, you selected me to be a chief, I'm gonna be a chief. I'm gonna be a chief. And I'm gonna be a badass chief. And I might not look like any other chief that you've ever, you know, come across, but you're gonna remember, I'm the chief. I'm the chief. So I think that's when the light bulb came on for me. Because as the first class, you got a little bit of responsibility and accountability.
Yeah.
But as the chief in 1995, they gave us responsibility and they sure held us accountable. We didn't play back there. We did. And I'm not saying they play now. I'm just saying there was no mistaking where the lines were, you know, here's the box.
They play a little bit now. They play a little bit now.
I leave it alone. I'm gonna leave it pow pow now. I'm gonna leave it alone.
That's a little bang flag coming out the gun now.
There were real bullets back in 1995. I'm just saying. So that's when the light bulb came on for me, and I was going to make this a thing for April Beldo.
Yeah.
So April Beldo as a chief, the light bulb goes on, chiefing hard. You know, you're being led, you're leading, having the hard conversations. When did the light bulb or when did the poke come for you to go command? Was that something that you said, you know what, I'm comfortable with my anchors and I want to do this? Or did a mentor, like what was your calling? What gave you the poke or the impetus to be command, go be a CMC?
Not until I had mastered being an AZC and those leadership roles. I had mastered being a AZCS and what that looks like. Then I went to sea on an aircraft carrier, the George Washington, as a Master Chief AZ, as a Department LCPO, and mastered that. And that's when I decided, okay, my portfolio, my resume, it is complete. The next job in my resume should be a command master chief. Fred Farr, I will share with you. Fred Farr is another name. Met him in 98 at RTC. We are the best of friends now. He's an AZ. He made AZCM with me. And he immediately went to the CMC. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but he was like the guinea pig for me. I looked at, okay, how's it going? What are you thinking? He was I think it was at VFA 115 or VF 115. But I used him, as my sounding board then. But I wanted to be a department LCPO on that aircraft carrier because, as you guys know, I use this word a lot, credibility. And, I knew being a command master chief on a carrier, it's a big responsibility because you have a bunch of other master chiefs on that carrier with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you need to walk a day in their shoes before this is just April Beldo's philosophy, before you can walk on an aircraft carrier, be a CMC, and then have to share with them some expectations from the CMC. This is just me, if you've never been a department LCPO on an aircraft carrier, how can you? How can you? And I mean, stand in front of a mess with air wing chiefs, right? Senior chiefs, master chief, shipboard chief, senior chiefs, master chief.
Yeah.
And be able to say, I'm sorry, you must have me confused with somebody else that doesn't know what they're talking about.
So your first ride as a CMC, I'm glad you brought that up, right? So your first ride as a CMC, you're on destroyer on the Bulkley.
Yes.
So was that your first time it's your first time to CMC, obviously, but then that's your first time on a destroyer. So the credibility, I had a mentor tell me credibility is currency of leadership. She said that and it stuck with me, right? So you go be a CMC on a destroyer, but you haven't been on a destroyer. So how did you ingratiate yourself to learning how to be a destroyer person and taking those reps as being a first-time CMC? How was that?
Well, the first thing I did was after I picked up CMC, and I found out when I was on a GW, I think, that I picked up CMC. So there's a bunch of people on an aircraft carrier. There's a bunch of surface sailors on an aircraft carrier, right? So I made sure that I got with some mentors that out to sea with me, and I talked to them, some surface Navy. And then, of course, I had my orders. And I don't know if you guys know the story or not, but I got my orders to the Bulkley, and that commanding officer did not want me. He
did what?
He did not want me to be his CMC. He says,
I have a peer that went through something like that too.
Yeah. No. No, I don't want a female, and I surely don't want a brown shoe female. Yeah. And see, I'm telling you, this spiritual thing that I got going on is real. I'm telling you. Because that Force Master Chief, Jim Monroe, remember him today. I'm sorry, sir. You are a commanding officer. 05. You don't get to select your CMC. She's coming. Yep. Okay, so that's cleaned up there. But then do you think I ever brought that up again? I never said anything to my commanding officer about that. And we're friends again to this day. Because after I got that mentorship, after I found out that there were some feelings, he was in his feelings for a minute. I reported aboard with my surface pen on top, with my black socks and my black shoes on. And I walked on board that ship and I met the XO, and then I met the commanding officer. And this is what I said to the CEO and the XO. I might not know a lot about being on the destroyer, but I promise you, number one, I will learn. And number two, but I do know sailors. And that's what you hired me to make sure I know is sailors. So that was my first encounter. And then I got with my chief mess, and I was very open and transparent with them. Okay, yes, I know, we all know, big elephant in the room. I am an Airedale. Never been on, never been on a surface ship. During GQ, we're in our maintenance control, not wearing our gas mask, waiting to go to the restroom as soon as, GQ is on. I get it. That's me. So I was very transparent. I said, but I guarantee you, I am willing to learn. And the first thing I want to learn is the ship. And I got with my DCC again. And I said, hey, what you got?
There go Damon.
There you go. I said, what you got for me? And he says, you serious? I said, yeah. I stood a couple of sound and security watches, 5-hour watches. Yes, I did. I went all the way down. I sure did. And there's that credibility thing, Aaron, right? I was like, I know I don't know, but you about to teach me, huh? EM3. Yeah. I didn't need a chief to walk me around. See, I got this. And, the funny thing is my first experience getting challenged by a senior chief in the chief's mess in front of the chief.
Was it top snipe?
Yes, it was.
Oh, shocker.
And we were doing something, and I don't know what we were doing, but we were talking, and I don't know what happened. But he's made the statement that we were getting ready to pull in the port. That's what it was. And I was giving the chief's mess my expectations for the crew. Now, unfortunately, you always have to follow somebody. And the person I followed had his own way of doing things. We were 360 out. Remember, I'm coming from boot camp. Poor thing. I had to leave in boot camp, and I went to, I had been to boot camp. So they knew I was an RDC. They're, she's going to come here with all that. Yes, sir. No.
And that's how it goes, Jim.
I'm not coming here I'm coming here with some standards. How about that? And so we were talking about something. And my top snipe with 23 years in said, and I'm the new CMC with 18 years in. And he says, well, we should do it like that. And we should do it like this. And this is the way I've always done it. And he's going on and on and on. And I never interrupted him. I let him have his say. And after he was done, I said, well, Senior Chief, as soon as you make Master Chief, then make CMC, then you can make the decisions. But until then, I'm the command Master Chief. And this is how we're going to do it. I would have never done that in front of, I would have gladly called him in my office and had a conversation with him if he would have pulled me in his office or said, hey, CMC, can we go talk about this? But see, he didn't do that. And I got, 13 other chiefs, some baby chiefs in there. I keep on telling them, people, I'm looking around the room. You must have me confused with somebody who cares.
This energy is very familiar to me, by the way, from my time with Vincent.
I'm just saying, Yeah. So, anywho, that's my story of that destroyer. That's my destroyer story. And then, and from that day on, I was everybody's favorite command master chief.
Hey, sometimes you gotta shoot a hostage. That's all.
Yes,
so
indeed.
I got a question for you. I heard you speak about taking lashings from COXO at different points in your career. And one of the things you said was don't get on the chief's mess, get on the CMC. And a couple things there, right? The one thing is I realized that, COs and XOs, they kind of got a limited availability to vent. So I definitely understand that, that thought process. Another thing is I've made some mistakes as a CMC. I made some mistakes as a command senior chief. I was a command senior chief, one of those guys, right? So, and I went to my CO before, like, hey, I made a mistake, and I thought I was about to get reamed. Like, I thought I was about to get shoot out. Didn't happen. But it's because I think that the Navy is changing a little bit. And sometimes people don't have those hard conversations that they should have. But I just wanted to know from you, like, how did you? You mentioned like kind of going into the birthing and taking your breaths, but how did you handle those lashings from the CO, and then how did you recover moving forward from those types of conversations? And if you could share one, I would love to hear it.
I think this same destroyer. Now remember, back in the day, and I think now they fleet up, but remember back in the day, it was always a new CMC and always a new XO, right? Mm-hmm. And so when I got to the both, they were both new. I mean, like one was like, 4 months into it, and one had been there for like a little bit longer. The XO had been there a little bit longer. But I remember twice I thought I was going to get fired. I really did. So the first one was one of the things on ESWS program, okay, another program. The instruction says this. Mm-hmm. The instruction says, if you're a first-class petty officer, and I don't know what it says now, but back in the day, it said, if you're a first-class petty officer and you've been on the ship for more than 18 months and you don't have your ESWS, you are no longer eligible for advancement. Mm-hmm. Bam! It doesn't, I don't think you're no longer eligible. You might not be, it just says you're no longer eligible. So the first time we were, doing all that, right? And it was coming up for evals. And I had two. They were really good first-class petty officers in their job. But they didn't think that the ESWS program was important. Mm. So they chose. So now we're going on 2.5 years. And you still don't have your pin. And it's coming to ranking board. And I'm sitting at the mess going, well, he's no longer eligible for chief. Another time, the mess thought I was crazy. Because I challenged them. I said, y'all get ready to haul down that ESWS, pin it, OMG, right? And these two first classes are not going to be eligible. Well, back in the day, you have to send a message. The CO had to send a message to Bupers explaining why. Okay, so we did that. We did all that. This is what I'm gonna do. Now, if you don't want to stand with me, go back into berthing, and you can tell the skipper you had nothing to do with it. It was all CMC. So we did that, and Bupers came back. Bupers sent my CO a message, wanting to know, are you sure that this is, this is what you've done? Are you sure this is what you want to do? Oh my gosh. That CO, he went, instead of him, remember his first command as a CO, instead of him calling me in and asking me, show me in writing, blah, blah, blah. He went to the XO like he's supposed to, and went off on the XO. And then, of course, the XO calls me and the XO goes off on me and blah, blah, blah. And we're just going, da, 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 da. And I pull out the message or the instruction. I say, well, here's what it says. Why is Bupers asking him? Why is Bupers questioning? And the bottom line was, unfortunately, even in, that was in 2003-04, leaders weren't leading with dignity and respect and credibility. So nobody, and I think sometimes it's warranted. What does this say about me if I have to pull my first class's recommendation because we did not make sure that they got qualified, which is a true statement. Now that part is a true statement. So what I said to my chief, I told the chief's mess, this is what we're going to do. And they all agreed with me. This is what we should do. And then my next point to them was, now who's going to make sure that they get qualified, and which one of y'all are not going to be going on liberty because you're going to be holding some doggone classes so that they can, if it was one of those things too. So I think, but my CEO was very upset with me, but he calmed down after I was able to get the XO calmed down. And I had to say, oh my gosh. This is what it says. And he read it. After the XO read it, he says, okay. Then he went and talked to the CO, and the CO was like, okay. But at the bottom of the line, it was almost like one of those attaboy things at the end. Well, good damn job, Skipper, because nobody on the waterfront is holding their people accountable. Yeah. Okay. Let's do that more often. And then the same ship I was on, you guys would laugh at me. Black History Month. Okay, new CO, remember, new XO. We're having our Black History Month program. I'm going to help, the team. I forget what they called it back in the day. The culture, committee, culture and heritage committee or something like that, right? We're gonna put on this, Black History Month program. And we made programs and everything. And I had the African American National Anthem listed as, we're going to sing this. OMG. I really got me fired then. I got called in. There's only one anthem. It's the national anthem and blah, 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 blah. And I just showed the picture. Okay, sir, but this is really what it is called. But, oh, yeah, it was ugly.
Dang. No lift every voice and sing, No.
Yes. But I was educating them because, they didn't know. They don't know what they don't know. Yeah. So bottom line, I never, ever held a grudge. I never, ever felt any kind of way. Anytime an ass chewing is an ass chewing. The best of people get it, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to define you. And it's how you recover from that moment in time, right? Again, you haven't done anything that's illegal, immoral, or unethical. None of those things. So that's how you feel about it. We're different opinions. You are the senior. Aye, sir. Aye, sir. I'll take it out of the program. My feelings aren't hurt. I don't take that stuff personally. I kept it moving because at the end of the day, I had a job to do, and the sailors needed a CMC that was not going to go into the fetal position, right?
Yeah.
Even after they got their butt chewed. Yeah. Take it like a champ and keep it moving.
Yeah. Which the credibility piece and your reputation, right? So before you came to the Vinson was coming out of the RCOH. And like no one wants to come to a ship in the yards, let alone an RCOH for that midlife. It's crazy. It's depressing. It's hard, right? But your reputation kind of precedes you, where we knew that the CMC of RTC is coming. And I think your previous tour before Vinson was over at NSTIC, because you had the RTC tour and then you went to NSTIC and then you came to the Vinson, right? So did you feel like, hey, my first ride to be the first woman as a carrier carrier, the CMC, and the first Black woman, wow, y'all gonna stick me with the worst job of a carrier coming out of RCOH? Or you're like, okay, you know what? Say less. I got this. What was your mindset going into the Vinson being the first this, and even before that, just the situation of a ship coming out of the RCOH?
Okay, I need to clear something up just for all of our listeners and for everybody who says this. You guys do know that I was not the first female CMC of the aircraft carrier.
No, that's always plastered everywhere.
Yeah, no. It says the first
Black
African-American Black female. Okay. And the reason why I think it's important to say that is because Kathy Hansen came before me, Ronald Reagan. Okay. I just want to say it. And Beth Lambert, she was on the Roosevelt. And I need to make sure that I don't care what they look like. I don't care who they are, but I was number 3. I was number 3. I was the first African-American female of an aircraft carrier. CMC.
You said Beth Lambert?
Yes.
Writing that down. Okay.
Yes. So I need to say that. To just clear that up, because here's what I don't want us doing is misrepresenting. Because somebody's going to watch it, people, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And I want us to be credible also. Okay. So that's that part. Second part is prior to me getting orders to the Carl Vinson, I had put in for 2 other jobs. And I don't know if you guys know this or not, but I had been interviewed to be the Big Pot when Admiral Roughhead selected Rick West.
Mm-hmm.
I was also interviewed for the McPot.
Didn't know that.
So I was not selected. That's okay because I was not ready, and I knew I was not ready. And Rick West was a great choice. I love Rick West. So that's the first thing. And then Third Fleet in San Diego came. It was open, and I did not get selected for that job. That job went to Joanne. I can't think of her last name. Doggone it.
Ortloff?
Yes, thank you. Joanne Ortloff. She got selected for that job. So it's really funny because my Admiral called me in at that time. He's like, "Are you okay? Those jobs weren't for me. Those jobs were not for me, okay?" And I this is a teachable moment, CMC. Some jobs just aren't for you. It's okay if you don't get selected. They're just not for you, all right? And then this I got a call, and CMC for Carl Vinson was available. Aaron, I did not flinch. I didn't even know you guys were in RCOH. I didn't even know what RCOH is that. You know what I'm saying? Because I hadn't lived that life yet. But here was an opportunity for me to be a carrier CMC coming out of RTC instinct, like you shared, to go back to sea in 2009. And I said, absolutely. So I didn't, it was just, I didn't know it was an opportunity, but it was an opportunity, so you might not like it. It might not feel good. It might not sound good or smell good, but be careful what you pass over because you might not have an opportunity again. Okay. And that's CMC talk. Y'all picking and choosing, and I don't want to leave this area. I was living in Great Lakes, right? The ship was in doggone Norfolk, and we're moving to San Diego, right? Where's my seat bag? Let's do this. So I didn't feel any kind of way. I didn't feel any kind of way, Aaron, until I got to the ship, and I was like, what the hell? There's another one of those things, just like I went into the Navy. What was I thinking? Because to your point, I had never had that ship, maintenance period. Not like that. I mean, we went into, dry dock and stuff like that on the boat. But this is something unreal. This is some unreal stuff. Yeah. So I went into it with eyes wide open, but didn't really know what I was getting into it. Didn't really know what I was getting into. Didn't really know what I was getting into, excuse me. And was not pleased when I got to the ship at all. I was devastated. I was like, what is this? Because I remember my, days on the carrier before, I was on Lincoln. We went to the Carl Vinson when it was up in, Washington for CQ. You know what I'm saying? I was like, what? Oh, yeah. I was like, and Aaron's not going to tell y'all the story, but, talk about a lashing. Got called to the XO's office 72 hours into the job.
Damn.
72 hours into the job. And you talk about getting a new one. I don't even know. I ain't even met nobody on the ship yet. Yeah, and he I don't know what your chief's mess. I just inherited this chief's mess. I don't know what your chief's mess been doing, but they ain't been doing what they're supposed to be doing. And they had put. I don't know what they did. Was they put that 3M book on the shelf when they got into RCOH and the shipyard took over? They're like, 3M. We just gonna put it up here, and they didn't pull it out until it was horrible. It was horrible. That was one of the first times. That's when everybody met me. That was one of the times when everybody met me in the chief's mess. I mustered them. Muster all chief petty officers in the chief's mess.
I was the second class and the first class, and what's the word? Reverberations, ripple effect. It was felt because cats came in tight. It was mad.
Oh my God.
I remember there was an ensign. I got 2 stories for you in the ensign, but there's an ensign and he was just every which way out of standards. He was talking to somebody and you walked into him and said, excuse me, sir, are you in standards? And you did that and he just like, his face is like, who is this person? It's an ensign, mind you. He looked, he was like, wow. And he's right. Then the second time was I was witnessing a DRB. And Master Chief Rose, I think he was chairing it, and you happened to be in there. And then you looked right at me. He's like, "What do you think, Paul?" I was like, "I don't think about you. You don't think?" I was like, "Oh, I froze." I was like, "Oh, man, I ain't never pissed him at all, man." He's like, "What do you think? This your buddy? It's your friend? Tell me something." Man. I'm like, "I don't know, Master Chief. CMC. Yes, CMC. That was it." But you were the right CMC for the time, for what we needed, because the standards weren't there. And someone who came from the place, the quarterdeck of the Navy, for instance, the basics, we didn't have that, so it was needed. So stars aligned.
Yeah, the carrier experience too, right? The carrier Master Chief, like where you kind of got at earlier, right? That lines up now, right? So being the Master Chief on the carrier already adds to like being able to do that. So it all lines up. It all worked out perfectly.
It did. And I had an outstanding CAG CMC after there was a little bit of challenge there before we got underway. But God sent me one of my brothers, Mike Jackson.
I remember him. He had a bald head, right?
No. He was really, he was, when I say Michael Jackson, he was Michael Jackson. Because that stuff was always tight. He was tight. He was slim ditty.
A bunch of waves. Yeah.
Yeah, he did. And he was like that. Yeah, but he was my rolling partner, and nobody met. Child, please.
Master Chief Smooth too, right?
Yes. Talk to Tammy today. Still talk to Tammy today.
All right, April, I got a couple leadership questions for you real quick.
Okay.
Hey, the first one is opinionated though, right? Hey, is leadership more about rank or influence?
It's more about influence. However, there are opportunities, regardless of your rank, to be able to influence the audience, whoever the audience is. But you need to master that. And you need to know when it's your time to provide this leadership ability and quality that you have. So it's a fine line, because even me as a CMC, Force and Fleet Master Chief, just because I was in those leadership positions did not give me, carte blanche on speaking up whenever I thought I needed to speak up. You know what I'm saying? Because you're in a room, and I was in rooms with a lot of different people who definitely outranked me, right? But you have to be very careful, because you want to be invited back into the room. You always want to make sure that you're invited back into the room. And that does not mean compromising your beliefs, compromising what you know is right, but you'll get your chance, you'll get your time. And that's when you have to know when it's time to chat and when it's time to talk and when it's time to speak up. Because again, sitting in that room, sooner or later, somebody's going to turn around and they're going to look at you and say, well, what do you think, CMC? What do you think, Petty Officer Jones? What do you think? Aaron? What you got to say? And see, don't be caught off guard. You need to be prepared all the time because it's your opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah, you sticking with leadership, right? As Naaman brought that up, and you just talked about going on to Vinson. You spoke about the power of passion when it comes to changing a culture. What does that mean in action? Like, what does that look like?
I think the first thing is I have been, during my time in the Navy, I was blessed to be put in situations where I did not have to compromise. And I'm going to say this again today because I believe that there's a lot of compromising going on today. just in our culture, in our world, in our all the above. Just it is what it is, right? I was never put in the situation that you all have been put in, and I think about you guys often. That's what I really do, and I'm concerned. I am concerned about the organization because of that. But to me, changing a culture before I could change a culture during my watch, I had to believe in it. I had to believe in it, and that's what I mean by you have to really believe in something, or understand the why behind it before you can passionately lead sailors. We're talking about sailors. Before you can lead your audience into understanding the shift of the mindset. So I think that's what it is understanding the bigger picture. And that's what I sometimes believe doesn't happen, is we get so caught up in tunnel vision that we don't understand the bigger picture. And sometimes the bigger picture is, it is not about me. It is not about me. It's about these other 378,000, active duty sailors that are doing this job. That's called sailor. It's not about being in an Airedale or a Surface or a CV. It's about this bigger picture, and it's real important that leaders understand how to articulate that. Because it's one thing to say, well, we want you to put this out. I'm telling you, I'm sharing this information at this level, and it's your responsibility to get it down to the deck plates. I need to understand those, sir. I need to really understand what I am saying and why I am saying it. So when I get questioned, and it might be by the mess, it doesn't have to be by Seaman Jones or, Airman Smith. But when the mess says, but CMC, okay, explain to me XYZ. As the CMC, I need to be able to have that conversation. And leadership, I believe, it's important that they invest in making sure all leaders understand the why. Because if I don't understand the why behind it, I don't not agree with it, understand the why behind it, then it's going to be I'm going to have a hard time. I'm going to have a hard time, sharing this message. So that's what I mean about, passion, and you have to be passionate about it. And you all have heard me say, or maybe you haven't, but you probably heard somebody say that they heard me say. And when it gets to the point where you're not passionate about it, y'all still fill out 1306? And it's okay. It's okay. And everybody doesn't need to stay to 30 years. Everybody needs to stay to 30 plus. Some people don't need to stay to 16. If you can't really get on board with the bigger picture, especially in khakis, it's time for you to go home. And I've always said that.
Yeah. Hey, I got one more leadership question real quick. April's, any good or something we can learn a little bit from a leadership lesson that you may have learned along the way the hard way?
Yes. It's real simple though. I don't care what position you're in. I don't care what leadership position you're in. You will always have someone you have to answer to. And I think sometimes we forget that. Because if it's not my way, I'm the CMC. How dare you not, go with my decision or whatever the case may be. Or this is about, the enlisted folks. So, operations officer, XO, this is my decision to make. I'm the command master. I'm responsible for the enlisted people in this command, et cetera, et cetera. Make sure that we always remember everyone has a boss. You will never get to the point where you don't have to answer to someone in your leadership position. And I think that keeps us grounded. That keeps us grounded. I cannot get too proud, you know? There's nothing with having pride in the fact that we have gotten to this position, but don't. Because just like you got to this position, you could be knocked off that pedestal very quickly because we forget. We forget. And again, it's not all about always agreeing. We can agree to disagree, but there's still this level of respect and that we need to remember, you know. But if unethical, nope. Immoral, nope. Illegal, nope. It's not your fight to fight. It just isn't. Let it go.
So, Fleet, I mean, you kind of hit me in some conversations I had with Damo and some friends and mentors recently, but I just want to go back to something
we had to check them. Yo, we had to check them.
They didn't check me.
I'm joking.
They just gave some brotherly advice, right? And because their credibility was up, as strong-willed as I am,
mm-hmm.
I'm gonna shut up and listen because they're not just saying it; they got credibility and time with me to listen, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you talked about how you're in the room as a CMC. You know, we're looked at to be those truth tellers, to give the uncomfortable truth and to, you know, to really to give it. But everybody's not getting the truth sometimes. It can be bitter sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking about like not pick and choosing, but maybe just waiting for the right moment to say certain things.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say for me, I'm not saying I struggle with this, but I think about all the time. You could be right, but that doesn't mean you're the right person right now. But sometimes, is there ever a time where there's never a perfect time to say, you just got to say it? And if so, how do you go forward? How did you in your career go forward in those conversations, knowing that, hey, this might be the conversation that might get you relieved or maybe not invited back to the room because they didn't want to hear that truth?
Yeah. Well, here's what I will share. Is it worth that in that situation? Here's what the question that I would ask. The consequences of your comment or the consequences, the end result of the situation, once you've said what you're going to say, first of all, have you thought it out? Have you really thought through it? Okay, if I say this, I know it's going to hit wrong here or this person's not going to agree. I'm going to be very direct with you, Aaron, because you are working in a world of medical field people, right? Okay, I'm just going to be honest with you. And we need to remember the medical field, especially the wardroom, they go knock on the doctor's door that used to be a civilian 10 minutes ago. They send him up to Rhode Island, right? For 4 or 5 weeks, whatever, put a uniform on him, and now he's a doctor. Okay, right? And that's it. So, but there's a reason why we do that, because we can't afford to train all these doctors, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, whatever. It's cheaper for the Navy to do it that way. I always say they'll get rid of a command master chief before they get rid of all the worker bees that are doing the work on the deck plates. Do you guys know what I mean when I say that?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And especially if a CO has to make a decision, you know, there's all this turmoil going on because the CMC is trying to do the right thing or might think they're trying to do the right thing or, you know, has made some comments or have brushed some people the wrong way. You know, I'm using this example. I'm going to go on deployment. These are all my watch standards over here. CMC don't even stand watch. Am I going to keep my CMC or am I going to keep my watch standard? So you have to really think through that situation. What are the consequences of whatever comment or whatever truth you want to, you know, throw out there in the room? Life or death? I don't know. If it is, you know, you have to be able to be honest with yourself. Is me saying this, is it going to make me feel better? Or is it going to be disruptive to the audience and we're not going to be able to move forward because now I've said what I said and now people they won't come to me. I'm not approachable no more. They don't, whatever the case may be. It's not about liking you, but about getting the job done. Is this going to impact the mission if I say this? Or do I need to say this just because, and for the record, I'm sure I did not tell that incident in front of everybody and ask him, was he in standards? I'm sure there was like a lot of conversation that came up to that. And that was part of I just said, well, sir, are you in? You see what I'm trying to say? I didn't just say it.
He was out of pocket, big as all outdoors.
Okay.
So like several people, he failed himself, but several people failed him. Mm-hmm. Leading up to that point before the command match had to ask the question like, hey,
But the reason why I bring that up is I probably thought about what I was going to say to him. And I thought, okay, is this going to help him? So he can be a better leader and stand in front of his folks at quarters and they not be distracted because, he's pulling G's on his buttons.
Yeah.
Or is he going to be healthy now and go do what he's supposed to do? So he can now be credible. So that's it. You have to think through it.
Yeah. So here's my struggle with thing that I'm dealing with right now, since we're at the hour of power.
Okay.
So my struggle with thing, and then we could get into some fleet stuff. I got some interesting questions about fleet stuff. But I'm at a busy command. I'm at a super dynamic command, kind of out of the mission set of most any other command, right? Just a completely different mission set, younger sailors between 18 and 22. Super duper busy, right? And then, I'll come to work, I'll open up the email. I might have 12, 15 emails, different opportunities, different things. The Navy got a bunch of different new initiatives the Navy want going on, different priorities and things that you got to inundate yourself with. And sometimes me personally, I get kind of like, man, it's a lot of stuff to do, right? So my question for you was, because a big thing I think for CMCs, and I think you did a great job at it from all of the stories I hear, is like you kept your sword sharp. Like, you were able to sharpen your sword. My question for you is, how did you do that at like various busy commands? Like, how are you able to get in and still keep sharpening that sword?
Well, truth be told, I didn't do it by myself. I did not do it by myself. I had some very strong who understood my expectations, Master Chiefs and Senior Chiefs, and sometimes Chiefs. You know what I'm saying? Because you're right. I could not do that all by myself. So I had to find me some trusted agents. That's what I call them, trusted agents. And you have to call them in the room and you have to let them know, hey, listen, I need help with this, but here's my expectations. And I want you to run with it. I want you to be, I'm delegating this to you. Knowing though, I'm still responsible and going to be held accountable as a CMC, right? But I'm going to trust that those individuals, there's no way I could have managed all that stuff at RTC as a CMC. There's no way I could have managed all that stuff as a CMC of the Carl Vinson by myself. Are you kidding me? I had to pull in the Air Department, Master Chief. I had to pull in the, what's it called? What's the combat? There you go. Combat. I'm sorry. Combat Department. And I pulled in those Master Chiefs that also had large, right? Departments, because that's why they're successful in those large departments. Now, don't get me wrong. If I were to have a Master Chief that I was always calling on the brick to tell him, hey, why is your stuff raggedy and da-da-da-da? but they knew how to lead their mini chief's mess. The Air Department, really? He got a bunch of chiefs working for him. So that's what I did. Now, again, I don't know how your command is made up of. And I hope that you guys have chief's mess who you have set.
It's like 4.
Okay,
about 4 chiefs.
Yeah, they're small and mighty.
Most of them first year. Hey, so I want to get to some fleet stuff. Man, so history's made like twice over already. This story, we can't tell it all in a podcast, right? So you become fleet. And it's more history here. But where I want to go is the eTablet, right? The eTablet. I want to talk about the eTablet. First off, All Hands TV was doing guys' work back then. And the way that All Hands TV connected was, I feel like it seemed a little bit more attached to the pulse publicly than I think most of what we have now in a time of like social media and being attached to the pulse. And I think that's kind of crazy, right? I don't know why we don't have All Hands TV anymore, right, y'all? Do we don't got it, right?
No, I haven't seen anything, and I don't even know if the All Hands magazine, even if it's a digital one, even comes out anymore.
Yeah, All Hands TV seemed to be attached to the pulse. But so I'm watching All Hands TV. I see you talk about the eTablet, right? And the eTablet was a good idea, especially with the concept.
Are you sure it was called the eTablet?
That's
Tell
what you
me
call
it.
In boot camp, I remember those divisions we had them. They call them the eTablet division.
Okay, I'm back. Okay. You gotta remember. I did a data dump after January 18th.
And that Diddy 214 hit.
You said some good stuff about it, right? You said it would be able to travel with the sailor as they go to their first tour, second tour.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes.
Some of the feedback from us on the deck, please, was like, oh man, these recruits are getting tablets. We wasn't too happy about it, right?
Yeah, okay, I'm with you.
What I want to know from you is what happened with that idea? It seemed like a good idea. Is it any like where did it go wrong?
Well, now, my responsibility as the Fleet Master Chief is to introduce new initiatives. Once I introduce it, okay, remember that team? I said, hey, I did what y'all asked me to do. I did put it out there. Now I need for y'all to do whatever that you guys were going to do with that.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm going to say about anything that we do. Its priorities change very rapidly, especially when there is money behind it. Is it still the same way?
Yeah.
You guys know what I'm saying? A budget. Yeah. So I'm sure what happened to that is, once you start factoring in, okay, the number of recruits coming through, the number of tablets that you're going to have to maintain, the number of XYZ, the concept, amazing.
Yeah,
you're right. Bam. Here, division officer, just got to flip through this and it's done. But there's a lot, that's very expensive. And I'm sure what happened to, I don't know. I will be honest and say, I don't know what happened to it. Because remember, there's an introduction, and then there's these 3 or 4 years that lead into the initial, let's start this, right? Or not, let's start it, but let's execute it. There you go, the execution. And during that time, if you've ever done a tour in DC, priorities change rapidly.
Yeah.
Rapidly. And sometimes we, at the fleet level, and I'll say, when I say fleet, even at the fleet master chief level, our heads are spinning too, trying to keep up with, or trying to say, okay, now you have to switch the priorities. And what is going to be the priority now? Is it war fighting, or is it administrative documentation? You know what I'm saying? So I am speculating as all get out, but I'm sure that's probably what happened. Is that there was a shift in the priority, and I don't know where it is now, but that's what I would assume.
Yeah, it's crazy because the way I actually wrote that question was it too good an idea for the time? I forgot to say it like that because that's a good thing. Was it too good an idea for that period of time?
Yeah.
So I got some
things.
And I
think what we were doing. We were trying to look.
No, I'm listening.
I was just going to say, and those are initiatives as we were moving to this electronic world that we're in, right? To this, everything's going electronic. Well, everything's still not going electronic, even though we say it is, right? We just can't keep up. Yeah. And like I said, resources, they're killing us. So
I got to...
I think we were trying to be there for the time.
Yeah. And then, if you would have done that, then the eTablets would have turned into something else and something, because technology changes so fast. And, the Navy, we normally behind it. But it's a couple things, right? So I'm sitting here, I'm, prepping up for the podcast and I'm watching all these all hands videos and it's a lot of things that you were a part of and spoke about. So we talking about introduction to Seaway, right? Dismantling PTS, right? That happened at some point and you spoke about it. The return of ball caps to the Navy, that happened at some point. MAP program expansion happened at some point, right? Embracing the live all hands. And it was a throwback moment when I heard the app Periscope, right? It was like, hey, watch this on Periscope. I'm like, oh man, Periscope? The post 9/11 GI Bill, something was happening, right? You all were talking about Cellar 2025 10 years ago. And it's 2026. Does it look like what you imagine if you're still paying attention?
I think I need to ask you all that question because I believe that I am far removed. I do. I do. I am far removed about what is really going on during your all hands calls with the MCPI.
Yeah.
And your all hands call, because I don't know. And your all hands call with your fleet master chiefs, because I am not in the room and I don't know what's going on.
I think we are.
What? Like we kind of fulfilled that vision from 10 years ago?
We didn't fulfill it, but so when April retired in 2017, a lot happened in 2017. So the initiative of the eTablet, the conversation on the heels of the collisions, and talking about, that was the first time I think Admiral Richardson talked about, that was the first iteration of the CNO's design for maintaining maritime superiority. Those were all in the conversation of that 16 to 18 timeframe. And now it's at the forefront now. So I don't think, you're not ever going to hit it out the park and like hit that bullseye, but the right foresight was being discussed, in my opinion, as far as with trying to get with the digital age, thinking about near peer competitors, and that like true brings in the basics. I think the conversations were right. Is it like being executed all the way? I don't know. But that time, in hindsight, I think that the right conversations as far as foresight were being had.
Yeah, I would add that I watched the video. Oh, April, you got something on that?
No, I was just going to ask each of you, and I think I can ask Damon this question. You are currently VFA 113.
Yes.
Operational. Not training.
Not training.
When did you come off deployment?
They just came off deployment on the Carl Vinson right before I got there.
Okay. All right. So what do you are watching these young sailors, older sailors, chiefs mess, having a little bit of downtime, but you should automatically be preparing for the next cycle, right?
Yep.
Of workups, right? How are they mentally and physically? Because to me, that's what Sailor 2025 had a lot to do with, right? The training aspect of it, but along with that comes Are they mentally prepared and are they physically prepared to go into a war type environment if they had to?
I think so. I mean, I think we are ready for anything. I think that's what we train for, and we always fall back on training, right? So that's what we always doing, is we always talking about. And just to answer the question, I think we are still going through the same thing what you was going through when you was in, right? Every time we come up with these great initiatives, money become a problem, manning become a problem, all these things become a problem, right? But I think when it's all said and done, we're going to grab some of them, we're going to make some of them happen, and some are not going to happen, right? And that's kind of like how it is right now. And I think it was like that then too, right? We was coming up with some great ideas, and sometimes it just didn't work out, or we didn't have the funding to do it. So I think it's the same way. From the mental standpoint, we got so many things in place right now for sailors. I think the biggest thing now is that it's so many ways to get help. You know, it's out there, right? Even on the podcast, we do it sometimes. We talking about, like, we got the numbers, we got phone, we give out numbers to call people and do this and that. So it's out there. The help is out there. And we always talking about it too. We always answer these questions. The Navy we talk about the why, the Navy have went that route, right? Sailors not doing anything without knowing the why, right? That's what we should be doing anyway. So I think it's lined up, just like we thought it was going to be back then. A little bit here and there, though.
I think something. I think it's a connection, a weakness when it comes to connection. Okay. I don't think people are as connected, at least as you all used to be, right? That era, right? Whenever I meet somebody from your era, they seem to be more connective. Right. I recently had breakfast with a retired CMC, Brian Exum. I recently had breakfast. I never met him ever. Like, we went to breakfast one day and we connected, and we talked about having daughters, and he taught me a lot of stuff. Different Fleet Kingsbury. I've now established connections with him. Fleet Kemp, I've established connected, and these are like. And they reach out. You know, these are like those kind of connections. I'm honestly getting more connected with them off of their reaching out than some people that's active, you know? But I think I'm not even talking about like in the world of CMCs, right? I think it trickles down even to leaders not being as connected with their sailors from my point of view. Yeah. I've seen this a lot where, like, I'm a personable person, I guess, and I'm a person that wants to connect. And sometimes it's a bad taste when a seller is more connected to me than their like primary leadership, right? Their divisional leadership, their department leadership. You know, I'm your CMC, I'm your command senior chief, I'm your SEL. Yes, you should feel connected with me, but damn, you know, and even the mess as a whole. Right, especially shore duty messes, but amongst each other, and then amongst our vet brothers and sisters. It's just, I don't think and maybe it was COVID, but honestly, we were opening this door before COVID even started. But I think it's an era, and I could be on an island by myself here, but I think that we're not as connected as you all used to be.
Yeah.
I agree.
I'm just going to add, I'm going to add a little something though, which I agree with 100%. When you say that to me, I believe you, even though I'm not, living it, I believe you. I also believe that, again, based on the era that we are working in, living in, functioning in, there's this trust issue. Even within the mess. And unfortunately, because of social media and because now this is the world, according to April Beldo, you will not read this anywhere. You're not going to find it in any, directives or anything. But it is my belief that I am very suspect of some people today. That, I might have I might have been suspect 20 years ago, but I would still err on the side of, oh, we're good to go. What do you need? I'll take care of you. Whatever. I suspect today that because of the environment we're in and the humanity that we are living in the United States of America, something has happened. Something has happened. And whereas I am more suspect, I'm more cautious. I don't feel I could ask you to do something for me. And this is just me personally. I don't feel I could reach out to somebody and say, oh, do you mind doing X, Y, Z, or sharing something with them? Let's say that, sharing something with them and it not being plastered all over somewhere else. Because I just, people have been given permission to say anything they want to say when they want to say it and how they say it. And remember, once you have said it, once you have posted it, once I have read that you said it, it is out there and you can't take it back. And, they might not have even been talking to you, but once you read something that somebody says that is so damning, you know what I'm saying? That is so against anything, I can't connect with you no more. I just can't. Because in the back of my mind, I'm looking at you sideways like, you might not even know I said that. Or you might not even know that I know that you said that, right? But I know now. And now that I know that you're comfortable with somebody saying that about a human being, I can't. I can't with you. And I think that's where we are, even in our military, even in our United States Navy, because as adulting as we should be doing, and as being very mindful of what we say, do, remember the Chief's mess? If you don't want nobody to repeat what you say, then don't say it.
Yeah.
If you don't want to invite people over to your house and you're not comfortable with what you're saying and doing inside your house, then don't invite them. Remember? Back in the day, everybody ain't coming up to my house because I don't know what's going to happen. But I don't want to be the one that has to have the conversation with you on Monday morning.
Yeah.
Nowadays, shoot. Yeah. So I think there's where the lack of connection and us really getting together in a room and just doing it for the good of the Chief's mess. People looking at each other side-eyed now.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
So you naturally bringing me to a question that I wrote earlier, but I heard you speak as Fleet on the importance of cultural observances. Last, about a year ago, I know you saw that, we, she sips her wine.
Yeah. I'm about to drink.
Yeah. So
yes.
we can't do them anymore. Right.
Yes.
And I talked about it on a podcast. I didn't, exercised a whole lot of understanding that, is something to report on versus something to opinionate on in this, in the realm of me being me. But I would like to know from you, just on the sidelines watching, why was that important? And what do you think we lose in losing that?
Okay. Why was it important? Again, this trust thing. I want to be able to trust who I'm in the burden with. I want to be able to trust who I'm, going on deployment with. I want to be able to trust who's sitting next to me in combat. I want to be able to trust, who I'm doing this working party with and throwing me these 50-pound bags or whatever the case may be. I want to be able to trust who I'm, on the unrep with and we holding the line. I want to understand you. I want to be able to have a conversation with you. And I believe with us having those observances, it opened up that conversation openly. This is not about me and you just sitting on the mess deck and having a conversation. This is about USS Carl Vinson pausing for 45 minutes. That's all we're pausing for 45 minutes to just learn a little something about somebody who I'm probably never even going to serve on the ship with, work with. But now I know that this guy that's in, supply, or this, young lady that, came in, lived in China her whole life, or whatever the case may be, whatever the case may be. I have an aha moment. And I was comfortable doing that in a setting where it's voluntary. You can come, you don't have to come, but it's voluntary. And when you look around the room, there are a lot of people from a lot of different work centers and work environments, and et cetera, that I'm just here to learn. And I might be there just to get a cup of cake, a slice of cake. But I had to wait through this whole program to get that, or lumpia, no, I didn't, or that, or that piece of cake, right? But I had to hear about it, and I just learned something new.
Yeah.
And I also think that nobody is more important than anybody else. You know what I said to one of my bosses one time? And he asked me, we're friends now, the same boss that didn't want me on the ship. Why do we have to celebrate? No, that's not what he said. We were having African American History Month or Martin Luther King Day, or what do you say? He goes, when are we going to celebrate White Men's Day or something like that, he said. And I said, we do that the other 364 days a year, sir. And he just started laughing. You know what I'm saying? But see, we could have that conversation. But my point was, it just allows us to just get a little bit more knowledge. Knowledge is power. Stop being so ignorant. If you come to one of these things, you open up your eyes, you hear something, you still might walk out of there closed-minded, but a seed was still planted. That's why it was important. And we did it for those different months, for those different organizations, for those different protected groups, because it was an opportunity for the organization of the Department of Defense to show that we understand we're a melting pot. And without this melting pot, we probably couldn't get some of the stuff done that we get done, right? Mm-hmm. We probably couldn't make all our numbers for recruiting, okay? So that's why it's important. I think that's why I thought it was important, and just open some people's eyes. What do we lose? Mm-hmm. See, I believe that you open up an opportunity for individuals to now be closed-minded, because in their mind, it's not important. See, we're not doing this anymore. See, it was never important. I told you it wasn't important. See, I ain't got to deserve nothing no more. I can just be me. Mm-hmm. Well, you, my friend, it's not all that. You need some culture. You need some awareness. You need some exposure. So that's my 2 cents. And again, now I will share all this to say, I'm glad I'm on this side and not on your side, because at this point, you guys all had to, aye, sir, and carry on the business of the day and keep it moving. I know, you swallow 3-4 times, huh?
Well, I'll tell you what I had to do. I don't think Aaron got a question, but we recently, my sellers came up with a program, right? Remember, Aaron, it's Sellers with a Vision, right? That's our program, right? And in February, it was a Black History Month thing, right? So me being Black CMC, right? I'm like, hey, take this out. We can't do it. And they like, for real? And some of them new, young sellers, they like, for real, CMC? I'm like, we can't do it. We can't go to the, they like, well, can we go to the Black History Museum? I was like, not in February. I was like, no, we can't. Not in February, we can't. But it was a crazy kind of like coin flip for me, being me and saying that, and knowing I had to, like, making that correction to our program. Like, so yes, we've had to get behind that.
Yeah. And, and one of the things that, again, it's all about the messaging. Leadership has, cited this directive XYZ, regardless of how we feel about it. And it is okay to feel some kind of way about it. That's the other part, giving people permission to feel some kind of way about it on their own time, So acknowledging, I get it. You feel something, but And we are all a volunteer organization. We're all a volunteer service. Nobody drafting nobody. Here's what I need for y'all to do. Focus. 1st and 15. Medical. Dental. 3 square reels if you don't live out. You have to start like making it sort of like light for them to understand. This does not mean when you get home, when you go to church or whatever you do, whatever you want to do, that's legal on your own time. Please feel free to do that. But I just got to share with you. Here's where we are. This is where we are. And that's it.
Damn, that's heavy. What you got, Aaron? It's heavy right now. What you got, Aaron?
Well, it's heavy, but it's timely. Especially on the heels of our conversation. Fleet. I can't say April, I respect. I'm sorry. But,
okay. I respect you too.
You guys, stop it.
Hey,
I'm April, I'm good.
Yeah.
Okay. When you spoke about how, going back to observances and the benefits of having observance, of understanding the person you're serving with and understanding how to connect with them, and that also engenders more trust, which pays dividends on the battlefield, right? For us who are still active, there are things that we want to speak on, but we can't speak on as freely because, the confines of our organization and our oath and our responsibilities and our positions. But I saw a lot of the retired community speak about DACOWITS before it was sundown or cut. And DACOWITS, for listeners, was the Defense Advisory Committee on Women in the Service. And the mission talked about, it was men and women who were just focused on recruitment, retention, employment, and the well-being of women in the armed forces. Make sure I want to read that correctly. When is always retention and recruitment is always at the forefront, but also quality of life. And that committee, looking at my research, right, looking at the numbers, I think like 94% of the recommendations historically from that committee went towards implementation of policies for quality of life. Everything from maternity uniforms to different types of leave, all of that. And I saw the arguments were made in the, I'll say, quote unquote, the right spirit, where people used the numbers and used their experience. You offered your experience with it as a up and coming sailor and as a person in leadership. That's something I don't say I struggle with, but it weighs on me. Because there are certain conversations that I want to have, but I can't because I'm not wearing a DU-214. It just highlights the importance to me of the retired community and us keeping those connections. You made a post on LinkedIn and you had a hashtag that really stuck with me. And I don't know if it's yours or if someone else that you came across, but you said it was serving without limits. And was that yours, one? And then two, what was the motivation? How does that resonate with you, serving without limits?
Well, my point was to address the fact that they had sundown DACOWITS and the good works that they had done over the years that they were established. I said serving without limits. This goes into the knowing yourself. And I know that there are going to be some walls that are put up that will hinder growth, will have an impact on retention, on recruitment, etc. But my point was serving without limits. I just wrote it because, especially for those that have served. I mean, it burdened me. It bothered me that someone would try to dismiss the fact that these operational warriors that happen to be females were just dismissed. Who does that? Who does that? I get it. You have your own way of leading, just like, we talk about leadership. I'm going to lead different than somebody else. I get it. Everybody leads different. But for somebody to come into a leadership role and just be dismissive of the hard work of those that have really fought a good fight, have been operational, have been downranged, have done those things. It bothered me. It just bothered me. So their service is not in vain. Their service is not in vain. Hopefully my service was not in vain. Yes, I was a female. And yes, I had these first. And the only reason why I think it's important for young women of color, to know that if you can do anything you want to, don't let anybody tell you no. You might come against some obstacles, but still keep moving. Still keep moving. Service without limit, if that's what you want to do. And so that sort of was my motivation. It was to basically acknowledge the fact that, yes, there were some women who served and did an outstanding job, and we will not dismiss them just because we're sundowning DACOWITS. And hopefully those things that DACOWITS put into place are in place. You can't, you know what I'm saying? You can't, reverse them. And then those that want to continue to serve, timing is everything. Timing's everything, It might not happen this season, but your season is going to come. Don't allow the negativity stop your journey. And Aaron, those conversations, I have conversations with people who want to listen to what I have to say. If you want to dismiss what I have to say, well, then why am I talking to you anyway? My conversation is not for you anyway. My conversation is a motivating conversation. It's for you to know that you can do whatever you want to do. There's been some people that have gone before you that have paved the way that you can still, move down that path. This is noise. This is nonsense. This is chaff. This is white, whatever you want to call it. You still do what you need to do. That's who those conversations are about. Those conversations aren't about changing somebody's mind so that, and you use DACOWITS, so I use that. If it comes back, wonderful. But if it doesn't come back, we can still use what we have now in the history books to help motivate those that are moving forward, male and female, right? So that's what I say about that.
Go
ahead, Demo.
No, go ahead, Dan.
Hey, I have a quick question about, it's kind of opinionated question, April, about, it's a lot of, chiefs and, probably some first classes too, talking about feedback when it comes to the CPO boards. I'd like to know your thoughts on feedback for the CPO board.
You guys do it different now. You guys do it totally different. Do you guys even have a board now?
Well, it's still a board now. There's just a lot of people, I think, want feedback. They want actual, like, hey, why I didn't make it, type feedback. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
what's your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on that are, we should have those conversations before they find out they did or didn't make it. Especially if those folks ask them why they didn't make it and they think that they should have made it, but they shouldn't have made it because you didn't do what you're supposed to do. That's why we need to be brutally honest with people. There's my word, brutally honest. Because every time I ask you to do something, you doing X, Y, Z instead of, A, B, and C, But I think I don't think there's anything wrong and I think there's a speaking of all hands, there's an all hands interview that I did with, you guys remember, oh my gosh, CJ Mitchell. You guys remember CJ Mitchell? He was Force Master Chief of Reserve Forces.
Glasses, bald head?
Yeah.
I remember that one, yeah.
Well, we did a after the results came out, we did a little all hands. And one of the things, correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys, is it still quota driven? I don't know. I mean, and what I mean by that, if I only have, and it goes all the way from Master Chief, right? That's another reason why I went to CMC. I don't need to be an AZ no more. I did what I was supposed to do with the AZ. Let me get out of that world so I can open up a quota, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's okay to have that conversation too. Listen, you got 15 Master Chiefs being AZs, and they made Master Chief at 20 years. They're gonna be a Master Chief for 10 more years unless one of them die. Okay, so and it trickles down, So let's understand the big picture. You know what we don't teach, Damon? We don't teach the fact that this pyramid. This is what we should be teaching in the mess. This is a pyramid, and only 1% of the total crew. You guys know that, right? It's 1%, 2.5, 2.5, and then E6 and below. And it's a budget thing. Here we go back to the money. It's a budget thing. This is how much we're going to pay for people. These are how many people get. Only 1% can be Master Chiefs. And if this is already full up here, if we already have 2,800 Master Chiefs, right? Then I can't make no more. Son, daughter, you're not going to make Master Chief this year because the quotas are all full. I think that's a conversation that needs to be had too. Let's be real with them and explain to them the budget piece of it. Mm-hmm. Because if there's no quotas, I cannot make another HTCM because we only bought 10 of them, and there's still 10 HTCM. So you're not Senior Chief. I need for you to know you are not going to make Master Chief this year because it came out with 0 quotas. Now I don't know. I mean, I'm speaking from when I was. If there's 0 quotas, honey, you're not going to make Master Chief. Now, unless you want to go to jail, go kill somebody. You could have made Master Chief, but now you're going to jail. So now somebody else gonna make Master Chief instead of you. You know what I'm saying? So, then I think the other part is being, that's for the folks that really did everything that they were supposed to do with regards to being an outstanding sailor, and they're working at the Master Chief level, Senior Chief level, Chief level, and I just didn't have. There's just no more room at the end. There's no more room at the end. That's that conversation. Yeah, now, for those like that, and I'm still sort of caught up in I think there's a balance, but, there's something to be said about a sailor who you can ask to do something, and don't matter what you ask them to do, they roger that and they do it right, and you can depend on them and all that stuff. There's something to be said about them and the one that got, a master's degree, working on the PhD, got all their quals. I need somebody turning some wrenches. I need somebody getting dirty. I need somebody on the deck plate. I need somebody knowing, to your point, I need somebody knowing who's all in their division, who knows what's going on with those sailors in their division. You can tell who those chiefs are, those senior chiefs are. Yeah. You can tell the ones running off the doggone quarterdeck because they in the doggone van that drives to doggone Temecula. You can leave at 2:30 if you want to, right? This is San Diego group. You can leave at 2:30 if you want to, but somebody's staying here to 6 p.m. and it's not you. So don't be asking me why you didn't make Senior Chief or Master Chief, because I can't call on you.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think the tragedy is the amount of questions that I skipped.
I know. We're gone too long. Yeah, it's late.
But a question for you, a legacy question. Okay. I did have a question. I'm going to leave that low.
Ask me. You can ask me. Please ask me. Ask me.
Okay.
Ask me.
Admiral Burke.
Oh, bless his heart.
Yeah. So the question is, you've seen leaders that you work with, right, excel, like just being on the sideline, just watching, people hit highs and people hit lows, you know, and it was just an empathy question and just how you felt just watching some of that stuff.
Yeah. Broke my heart. Don't get me wrong. And again, not knowing the specifics. I know what everybody read. I know what everybody saw on TV, but not knowing the specifics. How dare me judge? When I worked for Admiral Burke, we had an outstanding relationship. It was professional, and he got it done. Whatever happened after that, judging is not in my vocabulary, and I feel for him and Barbara. I do, and sad. It was a sad day, and whatever is whatever. But I don't feel any kind of way about him. You know, like he was a good leader when I worked for him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's all I can. You know, that's how the empathy. That's the empathy there. You know, if you, like any sailor, if you break the rules that are in black and white, be prepared to deal with the consequences. I just shared that with you, Aaron, right? Be prepared to deal with the consequences. And I'm done. But I do not feel any different kind of way. You know, I'm not shunning you and all that stuff. I don't, not my place.
All right, let's talk some legacy. First question is I got two questions. The first one is quick. Edna Young. What does Edna Young mean to you? What do you think about when you think about Edna Young?
I think about, if not for her, where would I be? If not for her, where would I be? Very important to give credit where credit is due. But but if not, if she, and I know, I mean, my journey was nothing compared, I'm sure, to what her journey was. So when I think of Edna Young, I'm proud to be one of her sisters in the United States Navy. No matter how the gap between, just grateful for what she did and what she stood for.
Okay. And then my second question was, and it might be hard. I mean, we're talking 34 years. If you could encapsulate a single moment of your career, right? You can't take no other moments with you, just one moment. If you could encapsulate a single moment of your career, which one would it be?
That's not fair. But, you know, I'm going to say one of my proudest opportunities that I was given was to speak at a recruit graduation at Great Lakes at Passing Review and Truth the Line. There's not too many enlisted sailors that can say they did that. So that was amazing for me to be able to get the nod from the Admiral at Instick as Fleet Master Chief to do that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I got a question. I already said your name, you know, legacy question. You already said, you know, you're a household name, right? So my question is, when people talk about your legacy, what you hope they will say?
You didn't watch the video. I got a video out there that talks about that. It does. It's legacy, and it says, yeah, I do. And the only thing that I want people to say is fair, honest, and treated people basically the golden rule. You know, consistent, fair, honest, and treated people the way that she would want to be treated. That's my legacy. That's all. You know, the fact that people say my name and all those first, that's one thing. But to be able for them to think of me and know that, you know, don't get me wrong, guys. You know, I had to clean myself up a couple of times. You know, I've done some stuff that I'm not proud of, so I'm not perfect. But I recovered, so I was able to recover, and then still never did anything malicious. Just out of malice, absolutely not. And even as a, you know, Fleet Master Chief, still, you know, I'm gonna get in your hips if you ain't doing what you're supposed to do. But it was because I wanted you to be a better sailor than, you know, you came in the room. You know, you came in a room with this whatever, funk on you, this stank, as we say, not a good one either. And we were able to have a conversation. When you left the room after talking to me, you know, You were like fresh. You're like, okay, it's good. One of the things that I do think about though, and you guys know that I knew Admiral Halsey when I was Fleet Master Chief. And when I was Fleet Master Chief at N1, Captain Halsey sat right outside my door at a desk working while he was waiting to see what his future held. And we had some pretty good conversations. And to see him today, see, that's the stuff. You know, you look back on stuff like that, you know, and I think about, you know, even though, you know, the Carl Vinson even, you know, I think about that big XO and the CO when I, you know, served with them, and they went on to do great things. And, you know, and the conversation that we had to make sure that they didn't get fired, you know, those type of things that, you know, and for those conversations to be with a African-American female from Lancaster, California, and me saying, Big XO, you cannot say that. You cannot go, you can't do that. What?
Captain Admiral Brown, Putnam Brown.
Yeah. He was, I was like, are you? I was always pulling his chain. He's like, what did I do? I'm like, oh my God, if you don't get off that one, you see. But I mean, and then to see him as a, you know, a 1-star and Birdie 3-star, and those, you know, those are white men. You know what I'm saying? Besides Admiral Halsey though, but you know, being able for them to feel comfortable enough and confident enough to have conversations with me where they knew it wasn't going to go anywhere. You know, that's the stuff that I'm most proud of. And those conversations will never go anywhere else.
Good. I like that.
I have my legacy question is going to tie in some of your peers. During the past season, I was talking to some of the new chiefs, and we're kind of talking through the CMC program, and we talked about a leadership mess. And I was stressing to them that up until me getting into the CMC position, the importance of the MCPON leadership mess. And then, you know, me being a student in history, your peers, and Damo said some of these names, you all, like the reverence that we speak about you all and the impact you guys had during your time in that leadership mess. So, correct me if I'm wrong, it was you, MCPON Russ Smith, Fleet Ray Kemp, was Fleet Sue Whitman, was she also part of that leadership mess group? And then Paul Kingsbury, correct? I'm trying to think it's another one. I don't know if Fleet Terrell was still in that group yet, but talking to all of you, it seemed like you all must have had, I guess, if there's a group chat you all had, it probably must have been the best conversations that y'all had. That's kind of how we feel looking back on it, the stories we hear, right? What is the legacy of that group? Did you guys leave like an indelible footprint as a collective? What were your memories of that group, and what are some things you learned from your peers during that time?
That's a loaded question, because, and here's what I mean by that, is you have to imagine. So when I was in there, when I was in that mess, there was 13 female CMCs of flag officers and above in the leadership mess. And that was I left under MCPON Stevens, remember? So that's who I was. MCPON Stevens was in charge of the mess. And before him, it was Rick West. And before Rick West, it was Joe Campa.
Yeah.
And I remember being in the, Joe Campa. And I remember I was the CMC of RTC. And the only reason why, of course, I was a captain. That was a captain. But the reason why they wanted me in the room was because of boot camp. what was going on with these new recruits. So that's why I got to be in the room. But bottom line, there was 13 of us females in there in the leadership mess. Now, and let's just say there's about 60 of us. You have to know that you bring that many I'm in charge Master Chiefs into the room. There's a lot of conversation going on. Mick Palm was always the voter, though. He steered it left or right. He called the call because sometimes you have to shut people down because we all want to talk, right? Because we all know what we're talking about because we all work for flag officers, right? Or general officers. And, but I do remember one thing under Joe Campa, they wanted to change the Sailor's Creed.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to change the Sailor's Creed. And like I said, there were things brought to that leadership mess because it affected all the sailors. And that was one thing they wanted to change. And they were coming up with different variations of the Sailor's Creed. Bottom line is, and I remember I wasn't prepared, but we walked in there one morning and Joe Campa said, April, come up front here. So he called me up front. And if you're not paying attention and somebody asks you to recite the Sailor's Creed, you'll screw that thing up really quick. If you know what I'm saying? Because you're not expecting to do it because, whatever. But yeah, I led the leadership mess in the Sailor's Creed that day, and we did not change it. We did not change. So those were the type of conversations that happened in there. Those type that was the for lack of a better word, power that was in the room. Because Joe Cap was going to go back and tell CNO we need to change it, or we don't need to change it. Uniforms. A lot of you look under Mike Stevens. Uniforms. We talk about that type stuff in the leadership mess before the decision was put out to the fleet, because we're the ones that are supposed to be taking it back to you guys, right? And then getting you guys to understand the why, so you can now, share it with the deck plates. So I don't know. We agreed to disagree a lot, Aaron. We agreed to disagree a lot because, again, you have the Fleet Master Chiefs, and it just went down. So you have 4 stars. It's just like, 4-star Master Chiefs and 3 stars and 2 stars and 1 star. And the 1 stars, you're like, their voice is just like a 1-star voice when it comes to a 4-star, So sometimes you got your feelings hurt. But always left being respectful of that group, because we could agree to disagree and know when we looked at each other that, we were there for the right reasons. I don't know if I can say that today, Aaron. I just don't. I don't know I don't even know what the leadership mess looks like anymore. I don't follow it. But I tell you one thing, I know there ain't no 13 doggone females up in there. That's a whole nother conversation we need to have on another day.
Well, I do share the sentiment with Aaron. Like, that was a magical era. I was talking to another Master Chief about it before he retired, but that was just a magical era in a time of less connectivity for those rooms and behind those walls that echo so far into the fleet. But so we got to wind down a little, right? We got to wind down.
Yeah.
You got out. You retired. That's kind of where we started, right? You did JROTC at a high school in Maryland for about a year. Rolled out, took a job. I'm going to try to kind of breeze through some of this stuff. Took a job at KCK Incorporated with retired McPon Joe Campa and a retired Sergeant Major Kent, right? You got married in March of 2019. So I do have a question that I can't not ask about not being married. So I went like 10 years before finding love and getting married and all that. And I felt like it was a cheat code. Like, I just felt like I was available. I could work till 2000. I could work till 2100. Now I'm married with a 2-year-old, and life is busy, to say the least.
Yeah.
Did you feel like it was benefits? Was being single a by nature thing, or did you feel like it was benefits to not being in a fully committed relationship throughout your 34 years while you were in?
Okay, well, I was married once before. Yeah. So this is my second marriage. I was married up until I was from a second class. So like back in 88, like 94. So 94, I was married. And then 94 came, got divorced, then I made chief, so it was sort of easy to throw myself in the career. That was probably like a personal thing for a little bit. But then what happened was you guys kept on advancing me. I guess kept on getting selected. So, and I'm all about the business, right? So picture this, Oh, and then I'm like 30-ish at this point. So all my peers are probably already married, right? So we ain't going there. Because, it is what it is. I'm working all the time, look to this side, look to that side. These are my chief peers. Yeah. Then I made senior chief, right? And then you guys made me a master chief. Okay. So to your point, my time is not mine really, because I'm trying to do this master chief thing the best I can. I'm out to sea. Then you made me a command master chief. Okay, I found my command master chief. My pool of eligible bachelors that, I hang out with all the time, very limited, right? Then he made me a fleet master chief, force and fleet master chief. So first of all, who am I date? Who am I date? Yeah. Who am I going to date? That's single. So that was that military pool. And then while I'm doing this military thing, my time off time is, because like after I finish with y'all Monday through Friday, ain't nobody trying to hang out and find my, love on the weekend. I'm getting ready for next week. I'm tired. You guys have worn me out. So it just happened that way. Like the eligible bachelor thing was very limited in my circle. That's what I'm saying, my military circle of case. Right? And then, you're the fleet master chief of all in one. There ain't nobody outside the circle that you can date if they are single. So I left that alone. And then just, I did date a little bit, but, people don't understand then, be like, oh, I got to go to work or I got this call or whatever, You guys know how you are. Y'all like, my husband today, mm-hmm. He called me in 2013, right after I got the fleet master chief job. And he was like, I'm divorced now. I got this, I got that. I'm moving to New York and blah, 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 blah. And he gives me a hard time about it now. We've known each other since 98. He was at boot camp with us, Damon, in 98. Yeah. But he was just a shipmate. He was just a shipmate because I'm all about taking care of business.
Just shipmate.
Just shipmate. He's just friend. He calls me in 2013 and I had to tell him, thank you so much, but I just got this new job. And I already know myself 24/7, right? I know the job, I'm learning this new job. I'll be in charge of all these different things, these initiatives, these sailors. And I just really can't see myself coming home after a hard 12 or 14-hour day, open his door, and you talk about what's for dinner, honey. So we're not even going to go there. We're not even going to go there, So anyway, but it just happened that way. I knew me and I knew that I did not want to sign up for something that I couldn't do at 100%. And I already knew I couldn't do marriage at 100% at that time because I just knew me. We traveled 230 days out of the year, right? Yeah. So I was just like, not for me. But he came back around in 2018.
Came back again.
Nice.
It all worked out. It all worked out. Yeah. So that was that's my marriage story. Yeah. And it's worked out better as I was ready for it for sure.
I love it. He was determined. And
yes, he was. Yes, he was.
Locked in. I have a retirement. I guess it's a question or comment, observation, opinion. I don't know, put it out there. But, seeing you as my CMC and then seeing you through all hands and all the things that you went through, right? Once people retire, people talk about the divorce glow up or whatever. There's something about the retirement glow up. And at Courtney's retirement, I looked at Courtney's retirement. That was probably the most well moisturized, edged up, locks laid retirement I ever seen. And I'm looking at you, right? And when you spoke at our khaki ball last season, I said, hey, Fleet, retirement look good on you, right? Everybody was like, Aaron, shut up. I was like, what? I just call like I see it.
Yeah.
But there's a person that I see that also had a change a couple of years ago that I think y'all kind of have like similar energy and commentary. And that's Michelle Obama. That's to me. Because she kind of moves way different now that she's outside the confines of the White House and the role of being the first lady. Everything from, the fashion, the hair. She went from the bob to now she went from micro braids to all type of stuff, right? Do you see a kindred spirit in Michelle Obama being, retired Fleet Master Chief and her being the former First Lady? Do you see a kindred spirit in how she moves post-retirement? Or
here's what I will say. I'm very, very, very flattered. However, Tom, I would never put myself in the same circle as First Lady Michelle Obama. Thank you very much, though, to be compared, though. But bottom line is, there's some things that you are absolutely right. I don't care. I'm doing me now. I'm doing me. I don't have to worry about that. I still treat people the way I want to be treated. I still, try to do right by people. But I'm definitely on my own schedule as a retired individual. I do stuff for April and April's way, and I am just enjoying life. I really am. And like I said, we started this out. What did I tell you guys? I went out. I will share. I'm going to drop this in there. I don't know if I left on my own terms, if you guys know what I mean. You guys read between the lines. But it was time for me to leave when I left. You know what I mean? If I could have stayed, I would have. Okay. But it was time. Obviously, no regrets. I did everything I was supposed to do, like I said. And now that I am not having to be this military role model, how's that? This chief mess, leader, I am definitely getting it all in. I'm getting it all in. I'm doing me for sure.
Hey, April, it's crazy because we at 2:42. It's some listeners gonna be mad because we got to close soon, and I'm conscious of that. I know you got some retired life to enjoy. So I want to go over a couple things, kind of going down and getting because we can't talk. I want to ask you about your hobbies and what you do and all that stuff, right? But you were the secretarial appointee on the Department of Veterans Affairs Advisory Committee on women's veterans at some point. Is still or it's over now?
They shut down that one too.
And then Director Enterprise Event and Protocol at USAA. That's currently right. I watched a video from you on Poppy Wall, right? Poppy Wall of Honor. That was about a year ago. My question for you, well, it's a quote. And I had a million quotes and I can't say them all. And they were all your quotes, but I'm going to give somebody else's quote that I got in this note. It's, I've learned that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel.
Yeah.
And I know that's one of your favorite quotes.
Yeah, Maya Angelou. Yeah. And that's it. That is it. That's drop the mic stuff. It's a beautiful thing to walk into a room, whatever the case may be. And again, people, I'm not concerned about people liking me. You know what I'm trying to say? But people that don't like me, it's not because of anything, malicious or I did to them. They just, you know what I'm saying? It's just, they don't do April. And everybody's not going to do everybody, right? And I'm okay with that. But, remember what you say, because people will remember what you say, right? And remember how you made them feel. And again, even though I know for a fact that I made some sailors feel like crap in my day, right? In the moment. And I had to get after them. And after I got after them, they were probably very, very angry with me. But it wasn't because, like I said, because I could, well, I'm the chief and I'm just going to go off on this sailor because X, Y, Z. It was because I see potential in you and you were not living up to your potential. So it was my responsibility. It's my responsibility, as a leader to make sure that anybody who I come in contact with and I see that they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, what they said they were going to do, or what I know they can have the ability to do, it is my responsibility to call them on it. So that's, they're not going to forget how I made them feel. But sometimes me making them feel some kind of way was me also helping them to redirect their energy so that they won't find themselves without a job or getting put out the Navy or, whatever the case may be, not being able to. Again, I talk about opportunities and the door. Once that door is slightly cracked, put yourself in a situation before the door is slightly cracked so that when it does open, you can bust through it because you're prepared to do that, right? So yeah, I love that one. That's my answer. That's
coming off.
She's like,
coming off this conversation, just as I listen to other conversations you've had, it's another quote from her that I think about is when she was talking to her son and she told him to create a place within himself and protect it. And nobody else could go in there because 9 times out of 10, that's the place where you'll get a visit from God, right? And that's pretty much really, it's like boundaries, right? That can't nobody break. So, but I think about you as I think about that quote. But I told you it was coming. Before you get out of here, we gotta ask you for your do better.
My do better. Yes. My do better is be honest. We as a humanity, as humans, we need to do better with regards of being honest with the person looking back at us in the mirror. That's my do better. Be true to yourself. We have to do better with being, once we're honest with ourselves, then we will do a better job of being honest with those individuals around us. Because I think that's what we lack is because I got so much stuff in myself that I'm not pleased with, or that, those skeletons that I have not worked through, that I have not, taken care of. So how can I be honest with somebody else for them to do better? And sometimes being honest with them is telling them that, that wasn't right. That wasn't right. But how can you do that when you're not right? You know what I'm saying? So cleaning up your own house so you can help, those that you come in contact with be better individuals. Because, you can't preach to somebody if your stuff is raggedy. You just can't. You can't tell nobody about that. They look at you like, whoa, what? Yeah. You got your nerve. So that's my do better. Do better is just, be honest with yourself so you can be honest with others.
What about your pick of the week?
My pick of the week. Ooh, pick of the week. What am I doing? Movie, song, book?
Whatever you want. I know one of your favorite books is like Navigating the Seven Seas, but it could be movie, song, book.
Oh my goodness. You did. Well, here's my thing. I'm gonna talk about a book, and oh my God, it's by Mel. Hold on, hold it up. I'll tell you what it is. It's called. Have you guys heard of this book called Let Them? Have you guys ever heard of that book? Let Them.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, it's called Let Them, and I'm gonna tell you who it's by. It is by. Here it is, Mel Robbins. It is. I thought I said it right. Yep, it's by Mel Robbins, and it's called Let Them. And the book is controlling what you own, right? And all this other stuff, let them. Let them. Don't get excited. It goes like Aaron's talking about, I just want to say something because they need to. Let them. Let them. And once you let them, then, you can let yourself. And bottom line is you're letting yourself be at peace because now all that stuff doesn't cause you this, struggle within yourself, this fight, this war within your own self. Let them. You don't have control over that. You don't have control over them. We don't have control over leadership. Let them. so you can let yourself just do what you need to do and not get all excited and just stressed out. And why? It's like that let go, let God.
Yeah. I just added that to my library. It's a $40 book, so it's on my books I want. that book is cheap.
TPR is getting big, bro.
Yeah. But yeah. So I really appreciate you guys. I really do. And this journey of how we all have had connections, it's just amazing. And as you guys continue your journeys and you think about what you're going to do with regards to your legacy, the fact that you all still call me and want to have conversations, that's the legacy in itself, right? I every year I say, I'm not doing any more khaki balls. I'm just not doing any more khaki. I'm done. I'm just done. There's enough retirees out there. There's enough active duty out there that I don't have to do this anymore. And every year somebody calls me and I'm like, I want to say no so bad, but it's like, I don't want them to have to go back to their mess and say, yeah, we called April and she said no. Because at that point, it's like, oh, okay. So, but anyway.
I mean, y'all left and I think I heard you say like you don't poke when you're not asked, right? So I love that you respond and when people do reach out, y'all left a beautiful stain on us, a really good one, a real nice one, one that you guys keep. And I appreciate being able to sit here. We close to 3 hours. So I appreciate just being able to sit. And we probably got, all of us together, probably got 4 to 5 hours left to, stuff to talk. Maybe one day we could find you again and, have more conversations. But thank you. I am honestly, to be honest with you, I know you don't want to hear this. I'm honored. I'm honored to be having this conversation in your presence. I think it's a good way for all of us, not just us here, but the Navy, our leaders, and the sailors that listen to this podcast to start our 2026. So I appreciate you. It took a while for me to work up enough to reach out. So thanks, April. I appreciate the opportunity to have this conversation.
Well, CMCs, I'm going to put you back in the professional mode. Oh my gosh. Again, thank you, first of all. And I wish you all the best as you continue your journeys. And like I said, don't let it get to you. Just sometimes you just gotta let it go. Let it go. It's not that serious. You do what you can do in your position, and the other stuff will take care of itself. Never compromise.
April, in the spirit of gratitude, we're closing out. For me, first, thank you for your time, your wisdom. Wisdom is timely and it really resonated for me. So thank you for your wisdom and your time. For my career, I just want to thank you for mentoring me through your proteges and other women. The conversations I've had with Courtney and with Samira and the litany of all these people, I felt like I've been mentored by you directly, even though I haven't been. So that's legacies. Thank you for your impact through those leaders, through those amazing women. And I'll try to carry that forward. So just thank you.
All right, it's time for me to close out. Hey, Fleet Master Chief April Beldo, thank you for your service, your leadership, and your willingness to come on here and speak freely. This conversation will resonate for a long time. So again, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you all, and Happy New Year.